Hell yeah, here's 100. I'm gonna do it 5 times.
Yeah, lads, let me just count them out. Right, there you go. What's that, 5? Righto.
Just saying I've just pushed live button. But it's okay.
I was going to say, Blue, I saw something so egregious in your server earlier that I had to add an emoji.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
The Picard double face palm.
Wait a minute.
I'll have to find it.
Yeah, I saw that earlier on.
Is it in general or live chat or Jones?
Bicker and bitch.
Oh, okay.
How much do I have to read? How far back do I have to go?
In Bicker and Bitch, it's literally like the last but one post.
The one that Doofus put up. On about mass and density.
Oh dear.
Yes, quite.
I did think about adding the Picard and Riker facepalm pair.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I might do that later.
So that's not understanding mass and density. I was trying to follow the thread. What does that be?
Well, they don't, do they?
No.
Because most of them think mass and weight are the same thing, and most of them still cling to the old. Oh, it's not gravity; it's buoyancy and density.
G'day up there in Peanut Land. Sorry, I should have said hello earlier. Let's type it actually so you can see I'm here. Well, there we are. I was looking earlier, I didn't see that one. When did that happen? Oh, 7:25. Oh, okay. Right, early this morning. I wasn't awake then. No wonder.
What?
We get an extra hour tomorrow morning over here. End of daylight saving.
Oh right. Yes, we screwed the
Then in tomorrow.
Yeah, tonight, 2:00. Oh, tomorrow morning,
okay.
2:00. That's what I've been told. We get an extra hour sleeping. Well, we're doing the ACT. I'm pretty sure it's the same in New South Wales. I don't see that being different.
Not in Queensland or New Territory or Northern
No,
Territories, though, is it?
they don't have it. So Queensland doesn't have it. Daylight saving, New South Wales. Yeah, April 2nd, 3 a.m. So you guys got daylight saving at all?
Yeah, we do. We
Yeah.
just went onto it last week.
Yes, we're now in what they laughably call British summertime, and you can tell that because the sky's grey and it's been pissing it down all week.
and 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 April showers, not a chance. It's in for the day here.
That's it. Yeah.
It's definitely not showers.
Actually, here it's just the road's drying up, but it's 100% cloud cover. It's grey and bleh.
Yeah.
No telling. So it'll probably rain again all week.
Well, it was raining the last time I looked out the window.
Oh no, I'm doing it a disservice. It might actually be a fairly decent week. Okay, now I'll make a change.
When it's a bit cheeky calling it daylight savings over there, isn't it? Don't you have to have daylight before you can say it?
Well, over here we call it British summertime. And it's just an hour ahead of UTC. Which is a bit ironic because it's our bloody time zone. And then we go and screw it up.
Well, could be worse, fellas. Could have been awakened by the tornado warning that I heard about an hour and a half ago.
Oh,
shit.
That's not good.
Yes, that's thankfully something we really don't see very often over here. And when we do see a tornado, it's nothing like what you get over there.
Nah.
Dave Cannabis, summer this year. It's probably a day in July.
That's what my dad said.
Yeah, you'll get a couple of decent days in July. I mean, obviously last year was an exception. We had that bloody heat wave, but yeah, usually somewhere in July. Hopefully it'll coincide with the Grand Prix. That would be nice.
So have you heard many
What, you
tornadoes
mean
go?
that-
Go on, Alan.
I was just going to say that weekend of the year where you can't actually go anywhere.
Yeah, that's it. Did it 2 years ago. It's an absolute bloody scorcher, and it's like typical. I can't go anywhere. Well, I could very slowly, or if you pick the right time of day when everybody's got onto the circuit.
And what, before they're trying to leave?
Correct. Yes. Sort of any time from sort of midday and through the afternoon, you're okay. But it's a few hours in the morning and a few hours in the afternoon when they're going in and coming out. It all gets a bit busy.
That's gonna.
No, we were. Christ, what did we max out here last year? We was in the low 40s, weren't we?
No.
Was it late 30s?
Yeah, I think we almost hit 40, which
I know it was over 40 in here because I was just melting.
yeah, but an official Met station temperature thing isn't quite as hot as you're going to get it inside your house necessarily.
Oh, here we go. July the 19th last year at Coningsby, the highest temperature recorded for the UK was 40.3 degrees.
Oh, it broke the 40 finally.
It broke the 40. Yes, I didn't know it was fucking hot. But that is, of course, the exception and not the rule. We generally just get mild. We don't get temperatures like that. We don't get monsoons. We don't get tornadoes. We don't generally get hurricanes, except of course in, what was it, 87, 88. we don't tend to see the extremes.
No.
86.
It was 87, the big storm. No, we're not going to have a hurricane, says
Hurricane.
Michael Fish.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask where the blue was, though.
When Seven Oaks really needed to be renamed.
Yeah. What was it? 3 left?
Yeah, something like that. 2 or 3 oaks.
So, Blue, are you getting one coming through, or is it just batten down and be careful?
The warning expired about 30 minutes ago, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So you're in the clear at the moment, technically.
Yeah.
So, have you had any run through your town, through your part of the world?
It does occasionally, but it's pretty rare, really, in this valley. They'll generally be south and west of here. It can happen, but not the real big, vicious ones.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I kind of associate tornadoes with big open plains, with lots of very flat ground.
Yeah.
Or coast. That's how I associate it. But yeah, but not for the US. It's different. So.
There's a swath of land that begins over in central Mississippi and runs up through north central Alabama and all the way up into Tennessee. And the storms will sort of follow that sort of southwest to northeast line. And occasionally, in the right conditions, you get supercells. Northern Alabama gets a lot of tornadoes. Well, so does Mississippi. But the further north you go, the fewer of them you run into. Which suits me just fine. I don't like the damn things.
Yes, I can imagine. I just pulled up a thing of Tornado Alley just to sort of see what that is. Officially.
Well, that's Oklahoma typically is what they're talking about. Good thing out there is that you can see them coming for a long way.
Get a little bit of warning.
Around here, you don't. The terrain is not such that you're going to get a look at it before it's right on top of you.
No, something a bit foreign to her. I know we have them. I mean, obviously, we had the famous one here was Cyclone Tracy, which hit on Christmas Day. 70.
It's a cyclone, not a tornado. Tornadoes are different, Timbo.
Yeah, I'd say the closest thing.
They're quite a different phenomena.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Isn't it that word that we always keep telling the flurfs about? Scale.
Scale, yes.
Yeah.
I know the cell is huge compared to what
We used to get dust devils going across our fields all the time, particularly during harvest, because it was that sort of weather. And the pain in the arse was it tended to hit a field that you just harvested, so you got all these rows of straw. The damn thing had come right across the field towards the farm, picking up all this straw, making a mess, and then it would get to the yard and just stop. And you just think, thanks, you've just picked up half the field of straw and left it in our yard. That was nice of you. Fucking things. Quite cool to watch her.
Yeah. I always grew up calling them Willy Willies.
Willy Willies.
Willy Willies, yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if Paul calls them that, but that's what they're called around our area. occasionally they get big enough to do a little bit of damage, but not great.
Yeah, no, these ones weren't very big. They weren't anything you'd be worried about. You just stand there and watch them, you know.
Yeah. No. Well, since it was April Fool's Day, I was going to put on my favourite April Fool's Day video. You guys would probably...
Oh,
a bit careful sharing this one.
Oh,
It isn't only in Britain
yes, that's the
that
BBC.
spring this year has taken
Yes.
everyone by surprise.
They're very keen
Here,
at
in the
striking
Ticino,
people
on the
to do
borders of Switzerland and Italy,
Yes.
the slopes overlooking Lake Lugano have already burst into flower, at least a fortnight.
I remember when I
earlier than
first saw
usual.
this. So many people
But what,
believed it.
you may ask,
They repeated
is
it
the early and
at
welcome
once.
arrival of bees and
Not quite like
blossoms
this,
to
but
do
the
with food?
whole
Well, it's simply that the
spaghetti
past
thing.
winter, one of the mildest in living memory,
In the 70s,
has had
I
its
can
effect
remember.
in other ways as well. Most important of all, it's resulted in an exceptionally heavy spaghetti crop. The last 2 weeks of March are an anxious time for the spaghetti farm.
Spaghetti crop.
There's always the chance of a late frost,
Yeah.
which, while not entirely ruining the crop, generally impairs the flavour
So many
and
people
makes
fell
it
for this.
difficult for him to obtain
Well,
top prices in
Let's
world
face
markets.
it was on one
But
of
now
the
these
BBC's
dangers are
top
over, and the spaghetti harvest is
factual
forward.
TV programmes, wasn't it?
Yes.
Spaghetti cultivation here
This
in
was
Switzerland is not,
panorama,
of course,
wasn't it?
carried out on anything like the tremendous scale of the Italian industry. Many of you, I'm sure, will have seen pictures of the vast spaghetti plantations in the Po Valley. For the Swiss, however, it tends to be more of a family affair.
I can remember that.
Another reason why this
I
may be
can't
a
remember
bumper
what
year
channel it was.
lies
It was the
in the
first one of
virtual
the Australian.
disappearance of the spaghetti weevil.
Replicated
a
this,
tiny
but what
creature
they did
whose
was
depredations have caused
said
much
that
concern in the
they're
past.
worried because the
After
spaghetti
picking,
crop
the spaghetti
was
is
getting
laid out to
infested
dry
by
in
worms.
the warm alpine
And what
sun.
the prankers had done was
Many people
threaded
are often puzzled by the fact that spaghetti is produced at
cotton
such
through the
uniformly,
spaghetti before they cooked it.
But this is the
And
result of many
then,
years
so it looked
of
like when they
patient
broke it
endeavour
open,
by
they could
plant
find this
breeders
worm inside the
who succeeded
spaghetti.
in producing the
So many
perfect
people were
spaghetti.
worried about the spaghetti crop getting ruined.
And now the harvest is marked by a
You aren't
traditional
sharing
meal.
it to YouTube, by the way.
Toasts to the new crop
Oh, no?
are drunk in
Oh,
these
sorry, YouTube.
bocalinos.
No,
And
you're
then the waiters enter,
There you go, YouTube.
bearing the ceremonial dish. And it is, of course,
But if you
spaghetti.
haven't
That's why
seen
you
it,
got
Cooked earlier in the day, dried in the sun, and so
Yes.
brought fresh from garden to table
You haven't
at the
seen
very
it.
peak of condition.
then
For those who love
you
this
haven't
dish,
been around.
there's nothing like real homegrown spaghetti.
Yes, it's mostly this image of the spaghetti crop being harvested.
Another reason why this may be a bumper year
Is that,
lies in the
BBC?
virtual disappearance
Yeah.
of the
Yes.
spaghetti.
Be careful.
Yes, that'll
You
be.
get a copyright strike on this.
We might stop it there then. That's all right. Let's move on.
Hmm?
We might move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And like I said, it was in it was on one of the BBC's top current affairs type programs.
Yeah.
BBC's a bunch of pricks when it comes to copyright.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is at the risk of getting a copyright strike from Australian side. I don't know if you know Dick Smith, who's the guy who circumnavigated north-south in a helicopter. He was quite famous for doing pranks too. So he would often, because he had a lot of money, do these stuff. So he did. He told everyone he was going to bring this iceberg up from Antarctica, but this was the iceberg he brought up.
Oh dear. Okay, fair enough.
Those people believed that he was towing this iceberg up from Antarctica. Yes. No. Yes.
Yeah, he used to have a chain of electronics stores, didn't he, Timbo?
Yeah, yeah. So Dick Smith Electronics, I don't know if you've heard of them, but yes, he
Yeah,
started
and he used to sell desoldering braid, and it was named Dick Wick.
He had a bit of a humour. When he sold his thing, he started Australian Geographic, which was successful, but he also got sick of all the Australian products and he started his own product line. And because Vegemite Gold's off, he had Aussie might. So these were some of his things he tried to bring back Australian products and stuff. Aussie might for a while. Wasn't the most successful chain of things, but you know, he's trying to make a message.
Yeah.
My story about him was that when I was working in an area a bit north of, about halfway between Sydney and Canberra, he bought some land there. But the way he bought the land was that there was this big property he was going to buy. So he flew his helicopter down, landed on the property, went and saw the people. They were, decided they weren't going to buy and a bit obstinate. So he got back in his helicopter, flew around until he found a piece of land that he liked. He landed and walked into the people's place and said, "Oh, but do you want to sell your block of land?" "Oh, yeah. How much would you like for it?" "Oh, maybe this." And he said, "I'll give you double if you're out in a couple of months." That's how he bought his block of land. Had to be suitable for a helicopter, which was because that's his big hobby. So
Yeah.
So very interesting guy. Well, I suppose we should get back to the flat Earth for a little bit. I have a Lindsay.
We have to do it, yeah.
Yeah, but before we have a Lindsay, I thought we could play Lindsay Bingo.
Lindsay Bingo.
So, I was going to say, let's spin. Who wants to go first and see what word they get and see if they can get it in the Lindsay Bingo? Let's go. We'll go with age first, so we'll go with Alan. Unless, of course, have you got any more words? You can see the words I've got to the side. Any more words we should add to the bingo? So I've got black hole.
Hang on. I'm just cranking my head round now.
I got black hole, vortex, torus field, ecliptic plane, metaphysics.
Torus field is spelt without the U.
Yeah.
Which one?
Tourist
First,
field.
lose the first.
The first
U.
one. That one. How's it?
That's
There we
better.
go.
That's better.
That's how you know I did it. Didn't get my.
Yeah. Well. We.
Yeah, we know what your spelling is like, Timbo.
Okay, cold fusion, equilibrium, tropical gap, waters beneath.
Oh yes.
We got any others? Anyone want to put in there just in case?
What's the ecliptic plan?
Plane. Well, if it could be this plane.
That's right. Not the other one.
Not the
No
other
I
one.
in it.
There you go.
No.
Ecliptic plane. It's a plane.
I don't know because I generally once I've watched Lindsay, I just immediately forget it, or I try to.
So what's you got your personal dome? Will I put that one in?
No, it's personal arc of horizon.
Personal arc, not
Oh,
personal.
it is now, isn't it? Yes.
Okay, what else have we got? Anything else? It's probably enough anyway. But
Yeah,
if you think of
it's
something
enough,
else.
isn't it?
Okay. So, Alan, you want to see what the word you get? To see if you get...
Yeah, come on. What am I playing with then?
You've got waters beneath. By the looks of that.
Waters
Okay.
beneath. Okay.
We'll remove that one. Who wants to go next? Who's on the list?
Yeah, go
next?
on then.
We'll go with farmers. Okay, farmers.
Oh, give us a good one. Give us a good one.
Oh, that's likely to come up. He brings that one up.
Metaphysics, right? Okay, I'll make a note of that and see how many times he.
Yes. So you win if he mentions yours the most. Okay.
Okay, I'll try and keep count, but that means paying attention. Shit.
I go blue because he's the next one on my list. This is yours, blue. I know how much you love to listen to Lindsay. Cold fusion. Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay, and we go with Paul. He's got the. I thought you were going to get the good one because he always mentions the good one.
Equilibrium.
Okay. Equilibrium.
That was a film, wasn't it?
Probably. So that just leaves me.
Yes. Yeah, it got Christopher Bale in it, I believe.
What a black hole of creation.
Get tropical gap.
Troptical. You've got the troptical gap.
Troptical gap. Tropical.
Troptical.
He's not going to say that, is he? Tropical gap. Okay.
He might say tropical, yeah, but he won't say troptical.
We'll do one for the peanuts. Peanuts win. I think they're going to win. Okay.
I'm going to click it.
Okay. All right, Lindsay. Well, you guys get your drinks. I'll put him on.
That's right.
Let's see.
I'm just finishing one.
Okay. Oops, sorry. Just wanted to bring up the chat because I can't see the chat. Let's chat. Oh, it's there somewhere. Okay. Let's go.
Hi there, welcome to the Tomb of Illumination. Today we're going to try and explain, or I'm going to try and explain, in the flat Earth system how Jupiter goes over the horizon, which is what it's doing at this time of the year. So it's a good time to try and explain it, being, near the equinox where things are 50-50 in the earthly seasonal changes. So this is really tricky, but I'm trying to show people why the sun is quicker than everything else. I've already shown
He's really stuck on that.
several other examples, but I'm going to give it another go now, okay? So just try and follow me, and I'm going to try and explain it clearly. So I've drawn the picture here of the northern hemisphere. So you've got the tropical gap out here, and then you've got the southern hemisphere, the one that rolls around the central northern hemisphere. So this is basically the image all flat earthers seem to be putting on YouTube, which is total BS because it's only one image, it's only the northern hemisphere. They just show you this one plane. They've got no idea what's actually happening unless they follow what I've been showing. But anyway, it all comes out of the centre Arctic anyway, and the whole northern hemisphere is what comes out of the centre Arctic. It spirals out like this. Okay? It's the toroidal field. The southern field is a mirror image. So we're just going to concentrate on the northern hemisphere, okay, to explain how all this works. So at this time of the year, there's the dividing line between night and day. So we take this as day. Now the sun's back in here, in the centre, obviously not the scale. The sun makes it look like a head on the black hole, which gives it the overall egg shape. Plenty of videos on that.
That's a shame.
So the sun always shines across the black hole.
No,
So if that's the dividing line, then the sun will be perpendicular, pointing this way. Okay?
Well, wouldn't it point every way?
Currently in the west we have Jupiter going down over the horizon. So what we need to do is freeze frame this, freeze it there, showing the dividing line between day and night and Jupiter right there. Now the sun's quicker, so if we just jump because the sun moves around the hole, the horizon of the hole.
Yeah.
The changing magnetic field of the two systems creates their moving electrical, which is the sun, and this moving electrical current creates a changing magnetic field. That's how it works. They know all about this in electrical engineering, etc. So, and the sun's quicker because it's on the inside track. The horse out here is never going to beat the horse that's on the inside track unless it's flipping lame. So it's always quickest, and that's where all the energy is. The energy all comes out of the centre. Earth spirals out. The toroidal field spirals out from the centre hyperboloid.
Did I have toroidal field?
What a torus field is a central hyperboloid.
Nah, we didn't. Torus field's close enough.
All the energy comes out of that hyperboloid. So obviously by the time the energy gets out here, it's a lot weaker, isn't it?
Is it?
Anyway, back to the sun.
Obviously.
So the sun's quicker than the planet. So we jump the sun forward because it's quicker than the planet. We'll leave the planet there.
So is the
Then
planet
if we
even
jump it
moving?
forward a little
That's
bit
what I
more,
want.
we have to start imagining, well, obviously this is going to tilt. The dividing line, because the sun is perpendicular to this dividing line at all times. Right? Day and night. So as the sun goes round,
But
the
doesn't that
dividing
mean
line
that
will
the
go
sun's
round.
always in night time?
So we see Jupiter going down on the horizon. But each day,
Yes,
every
Helmix, I
4
agree with
minutes,
you. We don't want planes.
the night is crept, the sun, our 24-hour day is crept ahead 4 minutes. Okay?
I know.
In the seasonal change. 4 minutes every day. So the planet stays there, but the sun has moved around 4
But has
minutes.
Jupiter moved or
So
not?
this plane has moved around 4 minutes. But it's gone out of our hemisphere, say, if we just consider 2 hemispheres here,
No, it's still in the other
it's
hemisphere.
gone over our horizon.
Oh,
Right?
it hasn't?
But so you've got to realise, as this is moving, the planet's moving too, but slower. And as this is moving, obviously the sun's coming around, catching up, getting closer to
Yes.
Jupiter.
It's
So
actually
this is
just
how
go
it
across.
ends up. We lose Jupiter in the light of the sun.
What?
I mean, they tell you this in science. It's going to be hidden behind the sun, they say, in the light of the sun, behind the sun. Nothing can go behind the sun. Behind the sun is night time. That's the Milky Way we see, Sagittarius A. That's behind the sun. We
Oh,
see all
that's
the
a good
stars
one.
on it. It's in front of the sun.
Behind the sun is night time.
The sun is coming around.
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
right.
It buries it like that. It's
Well, of course,
aiming
'cause that's the
into
dark side of the
Jupiter,
sun.
losing it
Yeah, that's right.
the back of
for
the
so
sun.
many weeks, and then the sun moves on and it gets exposed again. Weeks or days, whatever it is. Haven't worked on that one. So that's basically how it works.
But-
So it's gone over our horizon. So I see it go down on the west.
So it takes the whole week
So
for the sun to go
People
round.
just aren't thinking like this. They just assume that the sun's the slowest and the planets and stars are quicker because they get told that. And that's all rubbish. The human brain's just not working properly.
Well, someone
We
says
know Lindsay's.
I know all
isn't it?
this. It's all written.
Damn well, ain't
The ancient philosophy, everything. It's all in there.
it's not written.
But no
You're
one
making
no one
it
can
up.
see it. I'm the only guy who's figured it out.
It is written. He wrote it down.
So that's how you have to understand it. I mean,
Yes, but
it's hard. You've got to
it's
really
written,
think.
but he's the only one who knows it.
I mean, just drawing
Yeah.
this picture here, you've obviously
So?
got east.
Still written.
Because everything's
For
spiraling
surely
this
it
way,
is
right?
written. Well, yeah,
But
you
it's
just
coming
wrote it.
out.
Yeah.
It's coming from the east, settling in the west. But then you've got to think of the daylight now. If it's coming out of here, it's east to west here. So you've got to have a mind to think. If you're really interested in the flat earth model, you have to think. So this dividing line's always moving, so is the sun. The sun's there, the sun shining around this hole like this.
Yeah.
So
So what's Jupiter do?
that's
Jupiter
moving.
moving or not?
So is Jupiter, but a little bit less. So the sun's there, Jupiter's there, sun's there. Well, obviously the sun's going to race around here and bury
Race.
it. But
Apparently.
you've got this whole half here to bury it. It's easy.
But
As soon as that tilts
Jupiter
a
isn't
little
in the
bit,
same spot in the
you've
sky.
lost this in the daylight, haven't you? But at the same time, before that, we do see it moving that way because
I'm not
everything moves that way. Right? Everything is moving that way. So you're going to see it heading towards the western horizon, but you've got to realise the sun is going to catch up and bury it. It's going to keep going around here, but the sun's going to be gaining on it. So we lose it. That's simple, but difficult.
Simple. Where's the?
Oh yeah.
It's like in Plato, it said
So where's the countryside in this?
it's as simple. Something like it is simple, but it's once you understand it, but it's getting there, understanding it is the tricky part. Takes a bit of thought. What have we got here? We're freeze frame the image. If we jump the sun forward because it is faster than Jupiter, that's what we did. We jump that forward and leave it there, say, because it is quicker than Jupiter. You're basically going like that. Then if we jump the sun forward again, we then see that the sun is gaining on Jupiter, which is bringing Jupiter into the light of the sun, to be lost in the sun's light, until the sun moves on past Jupiter. Nothing can go behind the sun and be lost in the light of the sun. LOL. Very funny. It has to be in front of the sun as the sun passes over it. But not literally. Only the sun's bright light hides the planet behind the sun.
So how do you get to see it if it's always in front of the sun?
Behind the sun or the back of the sun is night time.
The eclipsing the
we
sun.
will see the planet at night. Okay?
But you just showed it never gets into night.
That the sun...
It does when it goes behind the sun. Then it's
But it's
at
not allowed
night.
to go behind the sun, you said that.
Here's the sun, tucked
Nothing
into the
goes
Milky
behind the
Way.
sun.
It comes out like that. We don't see the Milky Way on the light side, do we? We're not going to see all these stars on the sunshine side. But we see all the stars out here because this is night time. It's the back of the sun. That's Sagittarius A, they try to tell us. It's just the back of the sun. So the sun is actually slipping ahead inside the Milky Way as well. Because the sun's dead centre when the black hole is. So the sun's there, the black hole. I'll have to draw it like that
But the sun isn't dead centre. You said it wasn't.
as well. Let's not get too confused. I just had a video that the black hole's not in the Milky Way.
Let's not get too confused.
Anyway, so let's not go there.
It's
But
a bit
anyway.
ironic coming from Lindsay.
Exactly.
So all the
Too
energy
late,
is in the
mate.
centre of the black hole. So the sun is on there.
Did anyone have black
on the
hole? Because
horizon,
there's now
so
up
it's
about
got
6.
more energy than the
black
stars
holes.
and everything around the Milky
No,
Way. So it's
I
in
had
the Milky
metaphysical.
Way.
You
That's
haven't
the
bloody
position
touched
of the
that.
equinoxes. What have we got here? The sun is always perpendicular to the dividing line of day and night, but we have to consider the fluctuations of the ecliptic plane down and out or up and in during the seasonal changes. It goes down and out, up and in. But it's a good time to be looking at this now because it's the equinox, 50-50, and Jupiter going down over the horizon. But all is equal at present at the March equinox. Okay?
Should have had equinox. That would have been good.
Should we run over that again?
Yeah, go on.
The dividing line, the sun's quicker, it's going to race ahead of Jupiter. See Jupiter there?
But you can't see Jupiter
So that
because
means
it's
the
in front of
sun's
it's in the daytime.
gaining on Jupiter. But at the same time, Jupiter's moving around.
So when does Jupiter get into the
Okay,
night
so
time?
it doesn't
we
go.
can see
It's
it?
not going into night time. It just, from someone's perspective, when he sees it going over the horizon, they think it's going to be drifting into the night or something. I don't know. But it's,
got a really
just going
weird
outside
idea of night,
your
doesn't it?
horizon and outside of your time zone. Okay. But we all see it doing the same thing because we're all on the same flipping plane, aren't we? As the sun moves around like this, catching up bearing comes around, catches it, buries it. See, now you get 50-50 all daylight here, all night time over there. Another thing that is to consider, if you've got all night time, it's all dark. That's the base of creation. Then you've got the sun here, moving over it. So it works like a
So does that
subduction,
mean you could create artificial
which is basically how
creation
the
by having
Earth
shadow?
works too. It's another subduction system. There's 3 of them. So as the sun comes around this way, night time is going under like this. So as the sun goes around, the moon and the stars are all going that way, aren't they? It's like this. That's how Earth works. Because above Earth, if the sky, the whole toroidal field is moving that way, Earth's subduction moves in the opposite direction. This is why we get magnetic north moving to the east, because above Earth it's moving west. So if it's moving like this, if you can imagine it, then the magnetic field is going to be wandering east. Magnetic north
It only moves
starts
a little
wandering
bit.
this way. Well, probably the opposite way of this drawing. So I've got this. Depending on how you look at this
You
drawing.
got east and west mixed up.
Okay?
Yeah, it is.
It's the opposite direction to the moving toroidal field. Do you understand that?
No.
It's a dual system. I mean, they're all moving in the same direction. I mean, they're all going that way, but because the sun's quicker, it makes this look like this is going backwards. This is the overlay. We go back to SETI 1, Epidos, the overlays. The, what do you call them? The F.
CF coming into it, but I don't think
Horrible.
it's the one you're thinking of.
What's the word? I can't think of it. The reliefs. The reliefs. There was initially one relief, then they put another one over it, which gave it the helicopter look and all those other, like a submarine or a boat. It's the message we're not getting. I've got it. That overlay. Also, there's an overlay in the. You also have to draw the Milky Way in here, because that's where the sun is, in the Milky Way.
Oh God.
The Milky Way is a separate entity to the rest of the sky. They don't tell you that. They try to tell you we all live in the Milky Way. No, we do not live in the Milky Way. You can see the
Well, we
Milky
do. It's
Way
our
pass
trapping
over the
galaxy.
sky at night. We'll get into that while we're here. Bit of spare time.
Yeah, come on, dream up some more shite.
As I've drawn before, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere. We've got Orion's belt, say, right there. Orion's belt this way. This is a dead giveaway for showing you the arc of your horizon.
Ooh,
And they can always
there's
just
an
say
arc
it's
of
not
horizon.
going over the ball, but that's your arc of your
Oh,
horizon. The Milky Way is aimed at this, the end of it is towards the Orion's belt. That's one end of it. The other end comes out of here. This is south. In the north, you got north here, and it spirals out and goes around like that. That's how the Milky Way moves. This and this turns like this. It'll be
It's going to run out of video.
it'll be coming around here initially to start with. We hardly see it.
But then,
We see it popping over
then you're
here,
lucky. Well,
eastern
Get in there.
horizon.
Will you make it?
Starts following Orion's belt all the way over here. It'll get right around here, and it'll look like this before it completely goes all the way around where you don't see it anymore. It's outside of your arc of horizon.
Oop,
Go on the
no,
other side of the. Well, it's not the other side of the earth. It's the day side. Gets lost in the day side. It just continuously goes around like this. And when you look at that, it's part of the toroidal field, isn't it? Look at it. Look at that. It's just the way it works. Anybody can go outside and film this or watch it by your
No, we
your
can't.
eyesight. Just go in every 2 hours, or say 3 hours, see where it is. You'll see it there. You don't see this part back in there. You only sort of see this part here. You don't see it curling in here because that's the day side. It's the day part of Earth. Basically, looking at it like that, your nighttime view. Be like this, like that, like that, like that. It can't be debunked. Anyone can go out and do it, okay?
You can't debunk stupid.
I'll leave it there, guys. Give us the likes up. Share this like anything because I'm really restricted in getting my information out. It's not going anywhere.
Good.
I mean, the more people are
Good.
interested, the more people I get, the less subscribers and the less it's getting out. It's just weird, isn't it? Cheers,
It's
guys.
because of who's probably subscribing to your channel, mate. Dear. Okay, who had toroidal field? Anyone have toroidal field? That had the most.
Somebody did. I can't even remember what I had.
I had metaphysics, and he didn't bloody mention it once.
No.
I want my money back.
I'm pretty certain he didn't mention mine either.
Yours was who had ecliptic plane. I thought that was going to do well, but that wasn't hardly mentioned at all. And there's a 3 arc of horizons. So toroidal field. Whoever had toroidal field, I can't remember who it was now. I should have wrote it down. No one's going to own up to it. I mean, so there you go.
Well, I've learned one thing from Lindsay. When the
Yeah.
guys at the laser lab want me to justify the cost of a new laser setup, I'll just say, well, that's the way it works.
Yeah,
Yeah. Just the way it works.
that's the way it is. It's just the way it is, of course. You could explain to them how you need it because you can't see the dark side of the sun.
What benefit will it have for us? Well, it's just the way it works.
Yeah, that's right. Just give me the money.
It is the way of my people. Yeah. Dark Side of the Sun. I think that's one of the few Pratchett books I haven't got in hardback yet.
Dark side of the sun.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, sorry, yes. I haven't seen it out in the peanuts yet.
Yeah, so nobody actually got the Arc of the Horizon.
I don't think so, but that had the most. That was on my
'cause
account.
You just flicked.
Oh,
You
sorry.
just flicked back, and it was still on the. It was still on the screen.
All right, so
Oh,
now I've got
yes.
Arc of Horizon or Toroidal Field, and I just closed it, unfortunately. Yes. Oh, well, that's okay. Toroidal Field was the winner. Who finished? I'm sure. I thought somebody had that, but I only got one. Tropical Gap only came at once. Oh well. Next week we'll see. Maybe we do better. Yes, I'm afraid I've got another derpy dip. Well, fluffy dip
Another flurfy derp in a car.
in a car. Well, where else do you find him? I do.
I suppose it's better than him being in the short bus.
It is.
That's true.
It is. Imagine
It's only
if
because
he
his
had,
missus got fed up with him filming in the kitchen.
imagine if he had passengers in a short bus and he decided to do a video. That would be upsetting. It's a little bit of politics at the front. Hope you ignore that. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I just made sure that it was actually sort of on topic. So let's see.
Maybe CC here, Chris from New York, Westchester County. It's 3/31/23. A couple of quick things I just want to cover. I hope you're enjoying the theatrical bullshit that's going on with our previous president. That is. So the lawyer will come out and make $1 billion after he wins.
Speed him up a little.
And possibly Trump will win the presidency because this is going to do nothing but help him. It's just such bullshit, you know? I mean, this is to keep you from stop thinking not only about flat Earth, but also the current presidency right now. Yeah, you know the fuck up in the office right now? That's right, the puppet? Yeah, that guy. He's a disaster, okay? The border is a mess. They don't seem to be talking about that anymore, and I brought this up before. Nobody seems to be talking about it. at all. Cartels are coming through. Now they're saying the Chinese. Oh yes, this is with World War III. Check this out, guys. This is the prediction of World WW3. Right. The Chinese military is managing to get in through the border. Okay? So they're already setting up over here, just waiting. You know, just like the remember the aliens from what was that movie with Mel Gibson? Mel Gibson was in it. Signs. Yeah, you remember? Yeah, you remember? The aliens would come in, they setting up, just waiting for the signal. Oh man, what bullshit. There is a treaty out there that's untouched until 2041. Every single country, 52 countries, have signed the treaty and obeyed. You cannot build, you cannot drill, you cannot go down to Antarctica.
You can. You
That
just
is
got
a
to tell
bill
everybody
that was
else what you're
passed
doing. That's
from
all.
52 countries. Every single country here is in agreement with it. Nobody has broken that.
Well, they have.
You're
actually.
telling me they're going to start a World War III? My ass. Bullshit. Garbage. Nonsense. Fake news. Horseshit. That's right. Horseshit.
Oh.
That's what I have to say. Today's Friday. I'd like to do a Think About It Friday, just in case if I'm unable to produce a video over the weekend.
Why wouldn't you be able to produce a video on the weekend?
It's going to rain most of the day tomorrow, so you might get a little surprise. You like surprises, don't you? I bet you do. Well, here's a surprise. The Earth is flat. That's right. And the sun and the moon, they don't exist. They're not what you think they are. The stars don't exist.
They don't
There's
exist.
a surprise.
They don't exist at all, apparently, now.
I want you to think about the space shuttle. Yes. Okay? The bullshit space shuttle that supposedly went to the moon, came back, no problems, no, burn marks or anything like that on the capsule when it lands into the ocean. No coming up
No.
from the ocean at all.
Right
And
to
the
the
heat
keyboard.
coming through the
It
atmosphere.
went to the
See,
moon.
now that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about atmosphere.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the trajectory that you have to take in order to get back into the atmosphere of Earth. That's right.
Oh,
Yes,
what does he know
because
about
if you
that?
don't do it right, guess what happens? You bounce off the atmosphere. But that's funny because I have never,
Well, not
ever,
necessarily.
ever heard of an
None of us.
asteroid bouncing off of the atmosphere. So every asteroid supposedly that comes through breaks through the barrier.
Because
the
asteroids don't come in
radiation
at that shallow an angle.
I think he's got this vision, you know, like this big plastic bubble.
Well,
Apparently.
even if they did,
Boing.
even if they did come in at that shallow of an angle, you'd still see the you'd still see it as a meteor
Yeah.
because even bouncing off, it's going to leave a big bright streak across the sky.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do bounce off though. They do all the time. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, just not in the manner he. But I think he's got this trampoline view, you know, like this atmosphere to, whatever it is, and hits it and compresses and it does bounce off, but not the way he's thinking of it. Go on.
Also, I think he thinks that they're all huge, not
Oh yeah.
most of the stuff that we see as meteors is sort of maybe the size of starts off maybe being the size of a football.
And the funny thing, of course, is the stuff we see is actually the stuff that gets through the atmosphere. Mostly, I'm sure we probably can see the others further up, but things you generally see a bit closer to the ground. So, nobody. Anyway.
Miles of atmosphere manages to break through that trajectory, to get to that trajectory perfectly. Because it would have bounced off if it didn't. Wow, man, are you sure? Maybe those meteors might be aliens in spaceships that are actually controlling them. That might be right. Oh, these are all bullshit, ball earther beliefs. Nonsense. Anyway, so how did they figure that out? Oh, they have a computer. That's right. So in 1969, they had this computer that apparently was able to program
Actually,
the shuttle
into
a trajectory. Correct. So it doesn't bounce off of the atmosphere. And it was perfect. Perfect. Launch. No testing, by the way, either. You don't have to test any of that. No. You also, guess what? You don't even have to test the lander either. Not one single test at all. Now, what would you do as an astronaut? As an astronaut who has family, who has a future, wouldn't you be concerned about this not being at least tested? The shuttle that you're in right now, tested on Earth? Nope, the first test was
Why
on
would
the
you
moon.
test it on
Don't worry
Earth?
about it. Because the
You
other
should
tests
go
on the
into
other
the
ones,
moon.
they all exploded. None of them survived.
Yeah.
They didn't
That makes
explode.
sense, doesn't it, guys? Of course it does. It's NASA. They're so smart. They know how to figure everything out. They don't have to test shit.
It's just everything
also
over and over and over again.
There's another problem. The spinning of Earth. That's right. It's
What's
spinning
that
at
a problem?
1,000 miles per hour. So by the time they're looking at where they're trying to land, that's going to spin 1,000 miles per hour way before
God.
they land that
Yeah.
shuttle. So how do you explain that? Oh,
You know, it's sort of like if you're going to shoot a bird flying through the sky, you couldn't do it because it's not going to be in the same spot as when you first. Yeah. Okay.
I can't
you're
believe
gonna
this
tell
guy
me that
drives
it's
the
the
ship.
atmosphere.
Surely
So
he's
the
one of the
minute they get
passengers.
to an atmosphere, they get a bump of 1,000 miles. Yes, that's right. Now think about that. Okay, you're in this rinky-dink
You never heard
tin
of
can.
deflection?
Okay,
No.
you're in space now. You're not moving. Everything is calm. Of course, that's apparently that's what space is like. You know, I don't know myself, but that's what the astronauts explain it to me. Very calm. You know, nothing's going on. You don't feel anything. So you're going to tell me that at that point, at that calm point in that tin can that has a wall that has 3 layers of aluminum on it, that's nice. Good engineering too. I love that engineering. Excellent. Perfect engineers. God, you know, they go to school for this. I can't believe it. I would have thought that 3 layers of aluminum foil you could survive in space. Yes. Awesome. Perfect.
We can survive on
Look
the
at
moon.
that. That's NASA engineering for you. And put everything outside. Never inside. No. Not like in the submarines. No. You don't want to do that. That's the correct engineering. Do the NASA engineering. Put
It's never occurred,
Fuck's it.
underwater, outer space. Two different places.
all the important
Just a
electronics
tad, yes.
outside, so we have to do spacewalks and bullshit.
One, the
because we
pressure's
need those
pushing in, the
spacewalks. We need
other's
to see
the
how
pressure's
big they
pulling
are.
out.
We need to see your reflections in the freaking.
Put it outside so
astronaut
you got more room inside.
So
for-
keep 'em,
for
yes,
your-
keep 'em
your
outside.
Experiments and stuff. Yeah.
What bullshit? So this shuttle is now landing on Earth, okay, and it's being.
What was he on about the
pushed
shuttle?
at
Shuttle.
1,000 miles per
Right.
hour after coming through.
This is the shuttle in 1969, by the way.
Oh, the one that went to the moon shuttle.
Yeah, the moon,
Right,
yeah, that
the
one.
moon shuttle. Right. Yes, just in case.
Space with all this, nothing's moving. Really, shit would be going all over the place. But no, they're just a little bumping like that, right? You know, just like an airplane taking off. It's pretty much exactly like the kind of feeling you feel with an airplane. Taking off, you get this little bumpy feeling. That's all. 1,000 miles per hour. Boom.
That's what happens.
Unfucking believable how we believe this shit. This total fucking nonsense. Just garbage. Absolute garbage.
Oh,
Absolute
I thought you were
bullshit.
talking about what you were
How
saying.
How anybody can believe
Yeah, I
that
thought it was talking about
nonsense
who's
is
talking.
beyond me. How anybody can believe the nonsense, how they explain the moon, and how the reason why we only see one side of it. I mean, it's never ending with this. It really is. People have to look into
If
this
you saw
shit.
both, would it make
Okay,
any
if
difference?
they open their eyes and just look at it for 5 minutes and say that's not right, that's wrong. Jesus, fuck, unbelievable. So it's a little thing to think about. And how do clouds form? How do clouds form on Earth? What exactly? Oh, I see. I know what the scientist is going to say. It's just like how planets form. That's right. If you get enough mass together, that's right. It starts. Yes, that's right. It starts to collect with each other and possibly even form gravity. You know, we don't know what it is. We don't know how you form it. We have no idea. But that's and then the planet is formed, right? So that's how a cloud is formed. Remember in one video I told you I've never seen a round cloud before in my life. But anyway, how do clouds form
No,
like
you
that?
wouldn't.
You know, so you're telling me now gas. You're taking the physics of gas. So if you get enough gas together, okay, it's just going to form these puffy little clouds, right?
No.
No, you know what I believe? I believe they're probably cloud makers. Okay, somewhere, probably obviously at the edge, possibly.
You think clouds form by
where the
gravity?
dome is, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. It's gravity. All the gases get
stupid.
together and can make clouds.
My God, he's a dumbass. I mean, I knew it, but Jesus wept.
Well, particularly now.
Thick.
Well, particularly as he's suggesting cloud generators on the edge of the firmament, I suppose.
Sure, I don't know. I don't know exactly how far the dome goes. You know how wide it is? You know, does it stop at Antarctica? Do you have to go 1,000 miles after you enter Antarctica in order to get to the dome? I don't know. Is it 100 miles? 1,000 miles? If there's more land, then the dome should be covering that part too. So these are all things that us flat earthers think about. We come up with ideas. Okay.
Yeah, well, you don't come up with evidence, so you've got to come up with ideas.
They can't even give us they can't even explain how clouds form. You know, they give us this
They
bullshit
can't. What?
scientific garbage that makes no fucking sense at all. When
Bit of
flat Earth is
projection
just so
there.
simple to understand.
Just a little.
You know, it really is. How volcanoes work. You know, what's underneath us? Obviously, lava of some sort. Warmth, possibly. Whatever it is,
It's just sort of like, I don't understand it, so it can't be real.
we couldn't go past
Not
it.
real.
8.5 miles. 8.5 miles deep.
Yeah.
That's all
And?
we've dug.
And?
All we've dug is that deep. But yet they will fight and fight us and fight us and fight us about
Well, you don't know what's there.
their belief, their God. Meanwhile, we know what the truth is. That's why we're at peace. Because we know nothing.
Yeah, you really sound like
In
you're
terms
at
of
peace.
nature, in terms of meteors, in terms of UFOs. The only bad thing that happens is that what man creates. Okay? And they're
No.
trying to keep this idea and keep you indoctrinated as long as they can. Because they're hiding so much. See, back in the 20s, they didn't really have to hide anything because they didn't know. But then when 1960 came, 1958 came, and they figured it out, ooh, they really locked things down, didn't they? They really did. Made us a two-person working household. Made us to a point where we were so busy we don't
Make you
have time
do
to
anything.
do shit. Bringing up kids properly. That's why these kids around now are... You gotta see the generation of kids now. I mean, they are so different than the generation I had when I was growing up. We had respect for police. We had respect for adults. We had respect for people on the road.
Yeah, 'cause it's
Okay?
the belt
This
you,
generation of
right?
kids is so fucking lost. They're so gone. They're not going to make it as adults. When they turn 40, they're going to be the biggest joke in the world. Anyway. I thank you for something. I thank you for your videos. Let me be a part of your life.
That's scary, man.
Wow.
Can,
Yeah.
can I just say something about kids these days?
Yeah.
On the whole, especially as somebody who has to use a wheelchair, on the whole, I find that kids these days are just as nice and just as sympathetic and just as helpful as kids have always been.
Yeah.
Yes, there are some that are arseholes, but not that many. In fact, many of them, when I've been having difficulties, when I've been in my wheelchair, when I've been out, it's the kids that will come up and ask you if you're okay and do you need any help. The adults will just look the other way. So, yeah, sorry. Just one of them things that annoys me when people go, how bad the kids are these days.
Yes, I'm a bit more the same as... I spend a lot of time dealing with youth groups and different groups and, yeah, different kids, like everything. You have good ones, you have bad ones. But I always think generally it's the same. And you can play this, you can listen to the things that Socrates and what they said in ancient Greek. They say exactly the same things about their youth as people say about our youth. So that's a general trend. The older, you know, and everybody thinks that their generation, their adults didn't know what they're doing, and their kids don't know what they're doing. So that's pretty normal. So I think generally they're gonna be fine. You can understand why they get a bit annoyed at the adults, you know, leaving them with some of the rubbish they're gonna have to deal with. What have we got left? I found this. A few group of shorts.
Mm.
Hang on, I'm just checking my playlist. Oh, we got this. We got flat suede. Play a little bit of this. There's no Oh, I meant to block Everett this week. Played all the Everett. He didn't do one this week.
No.
So this is from what's his name? This guy. What's his name?
Oh yes, him.
Yeah, I haven't seen him for a while, but I found these on his channel and I thought
The deck 7 to 8, and it was measure 4.5. So that's more than 50%. Measured. How did I measure it? A sizeometer. Sizeometer? A sizeometer. Okay.
Sizeometer.
Here you go. Yeah. There's a good one. Yes. He knows everything except anything.
Well, measure velocities at the core mantle boundary. Oh, what did they use to measure it? So what they do is they calculate the velocity using tomographic models. The deck 7 to 8, and it was measure 4.5.
Yeah.
I asked my nephews if I could build them 2 wood and a pile.
The deck 7 to 8,
actually-
and it was measure 4.5.
Let me go to his shorts, sorry. Go to his shorts. So I think this will take us.
The deck 7 to 8, and it was measure 4.
There we go.
You have daylight. Daylight is the illumination of the sky. It's not the sun.
From the sun.
No, the sun is.
You're saying that daylight is not from the sun?
Absolutely. You have daylight. Daylight is the illumination of the sky. It's not the sun.
From the sun.
No, the sun is.
You're saying that daylight is.
Do you know the equation for length contraction? What's it?
Instead of you detracting, we respond to the actual point that you have to believe that's time.
Okay, stop.
Yeah, you got gotchas. You're not going to give me. I'm not going to play your game.
Questions.
Hey, as soon as you address my actual points that are diverting
I am
with
addressing
little
your point.
gotchas,
I am
pretending that
addressing
you-
your point. If you let me get there, the equation is L equals LO times the square root of 1 minus V squared, which is the V is the velocity of the object,
Yeah.
over C squared, which is the speed of light. I didn't
Wrong.
read that off of anything. I
That's
studied
wrong.
that earlier and paid attention to it.
You're wrong. You said it wrong.
No, I didn't.
Uh-oh.
Which
Just
bit
said
did I
V
say
squared
wrong?
over C squared?
V squared over C squared, yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, V squared over C squared.
Pretty sure it's V squared times C squared.
1 minus
Pretty
V
sure it's
squared.
V squared times C
I'm
squared.
pretty sure he's wrong.
No. Do you know the equation for length contraction with?
Who's wrong?
Which
of course.
Yeah, okay, that's just double checking. I was pretty sure that. I was thinking, just making sure I got that right. Yes.
I think the expression under that radical is 1 minus V squared over C squared.
Yeah. I have heard that one. So what's the other one?
But I don't do it. I think math sucks. I think it's such a way to get lost in the weeds and stuff, right? But I don't do it. I think math.
Yes. Yeah, Yeti Bass and the other ones.
About to reach its final
I
minute.
think the rest are.
I came across this beautiful
doesn't
image
do
you're
maths,
seeing.
but we'll go to the minutiae of
The formula.
physics.
Yeah.
Here of the Nile River from the ISS, and it inspired me to do this little YouTube short on a common flat Earth misconception. Flat Earthers often claim that if the Earth is spherical, then the Nile will have to flow uphill to overcome the curvature of the Earth. They are wrong. The Nile flows downhill to a level closer to sea level in its entire course. It empties into the Mediterranean Sea, which is the lowest potential along the Nile basin. Flat Earthers think that if water in a small container forms a flat surface, then it must always be flat no matter how wide the surface is. Again, they are wrong. It appears flat only because the curvature is minuscule in such a small container. So just because there's the curvature of the Earth doesn't mean the water has to climb.
The one I always find when people talk about that, they always draw the Nile as though it's on the top of the, and it's like, but even if it was, it's on the side anyway. So you don't even understand what it would look like on the globe at all.
Spectroscopy.
So I think the rest is.
Yeah.
Yes. So I found that. I haven't heard from him for a while.
No, he's been a bit quiet recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, he and Mallory were going to supposedly do a debate, and that fell through, and sort of went quiet after that. Don't know how well that would have been. I think it was more a bit of a see how he goes against Mallory, because he was just getting into it, but I think he sort of dropped off, maybe lost interest or got busy. So, yes. This is a new game, I decided. This is how long can I listen to Flatside before I have to stop the video? So.
Stop.
You don't push play, says. That's how long.
Yeah, let me stop you right there. That's enough, thank you.
This is him talking about level. So, yeah, hold your hats, get your cup of teas if you're squeamish.
Vantage point to a reference, but you don't require 2 observers. You can be 1 observer, just changing your position. That's it. Remember, these are the same people that think level means curve.
No, we don't.
Hey, Charlie Walsh, good to see you. Thank you for coming, man. Okay, it should be on screen now by you guys.
No.
Yeah, from Zebra B.
Yeah, okay, from Zebra 8, guys. Let's go through this. He literally debunks himself by putting the definitions of level from different sources on here, different dictionaries. Just because he sees the word in there, curvature of Earth, he thinks it's making his curve. As he said. Okay, here are 5 definitions of level from 5 different dictionaries that use reference to the curvature of Earth. Okay, Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Level is parallel. Remember, what is parallel, guys? You know, while we read it through, let's draw it out. What is parallel? We're going to have a red line and a blue line. Excuse me.
You can see where this one's going already.
This is parallel, guys. That's what parallel means. Yep. 2 lines parallel to one another. Okay? Yeah. With the line of the horizon. A horizon, what is a horizon? A horizontal. So, when you look at it now, parallel to the horizon being the horizontal. That would be the horizon to the horizontal. That's parallel, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, now they go and they totally contradict the statement just made. Conforming to the curvature of the Earth's surface. Globus, tell me, how can you have a horizontal parallel if it's conforming to a curve? You can't, exactly. So let's go look what parallel first means, because it seems we have to literally go and teach the people what words mean. I can't believe we have to be, in this day and age, to teach grown-ass people what a word means. Parallel.
He doesn't understand the
of lines,
dictionaries
planes,
and
or
not
surfaces side by side, having the same distance continuously between them. Parallel lines never meet. Okay?
Yeah.
The person thing is a similar
And you
analog to
could
another.
do that with circles.
Now, obviously, you can have parallel in the sense of that to another there, okay?
What's going on with Mikey? Mikey's chatting in the chat like
Mikey's our fault that he can't get on.
Mikey,
Mikey,
Our fault, Mikey. You can't remember your password.
Hey, Lumpy guest, good to see you, mate. Mikey, we would love you to come on, mate. Otherwise, if you want, tomorrow night I can do it on StreamYard and I can send you the link on StreamYard. If that'll be easier. Then you can come present actually on StreamYard tomorrow. That'd be great. So anyway, guys, this can be parallel to one another, correct? But what happens? Let's go quickly look at the globe, and let's see if that fits to what it is. Remember, the Earth is a geoid, guys. Why is it a geoid? Yeah. It's not a perfect sphere. Okay, so tell me, how do you have parallel to the center of Earth all over there? I'm going to go back to paint.
Go back to the one underneath. That's a better one. Anyway, go on.
You know why paint is so fun? Because the globe is... So why are you using paint? Okay, you see there's a line? Is it the same radius as that line?
No. So
this is a question to all globies.
It's showing gravity.
As that radius?
Yes, that's right.
Let's create another one.
But even if it was shape, it
same
wouldn't
radius?
make any difference.
Or how about to this one?
This guy's so fucking stupid.
Same radius? No, every single one of them have different radius values. So therefore you cannot be parallel to the surface because it always has a different radius. Your own geoid debunks your own definition of level, guys.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so there we go. Now let's bring up the actual...
I wonder if he thinks railway tracks can be can bend different directions and still be parallel. Probably can't, you see, because they're different radii.
Merriam-Webster dictionary.
Why didn't you use that other nice little one down the side?
Level.
This image down here. This one down here, which is actually a much better explanation, but I don't think he'd understand that one.
Well, that's why he didn't pick it.
He talks about the difference between the height difference of the geoid and the way that we develop a datum. Anyway.
How do you have parallel to the center of Earth all over there? Because there's some words that they love to ignore.
Like
so tonight we can practically change this to let's teach the ballers what words mean. Level. Remember, synonyms of level, guys. A device for establishing a horizontal line or plane by means of a bubble in a liquid that shows adjustment to the horizontal by movement to the center of a slightly bowed path.
The device.
Water level, guys.
Sorry, Peanuts. I'm sure you're really missing out. Thanks, man. Do you want me to play it again, Peanuts?
So, a measurement of difference of altitude of 2 points by means of a level. So you can change it to eye level. That's also one thing. Let's do this. If you guys have a globe, this is your globe, and you got someone standing here, and they are looking eye level. Is that eye level? Is that eye level? No, that's not eye level.
Because you don't know what
because
eye level is.
Parallel to the curvature of your Earth. Now, how do you be curvature to the Earth if the curvature of Earth is changing at different rates as well?
What? The fuck is he
on
about?
Hey, everybody, good to see you, mate. Thank you for coming. So, let's get back. So, there's a lot of contradictions so far.
Eye level's just the level where your eyes are at, that's all.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
And it's not like we were saying on the ball in scale, that's completely wrong. But, yes. But in his other stuff, I see he gets mixed up between eye level. He sees as where you're actually looking, as opposed to being the level at the eye.
No, that's
your eye sits at. So.
That's line of sight.
Yes, no, but he mixes them up.
I
have seen him mix it up.
Same thing.
What's that,
oh,
sorry?
yeah, a lot of them do.
Yeah, I've seen him mix that up.
Ignorant.
Yes. Dear. I don't know. Can I put any more on? Let's have a look. Does it get on any better? I don't think so.
Really?
Let's see.
Looking level out, correct?
No.
Now, what are they saying? Oh yeah, this guy is supposed to be standing here, for instance.
No.
Is he
stands
going to
like
have
that?
the same level, the same plumb? No, he doesn't stand sideways like that. He stands at an angle. He stands at this angle because he has a new zenith. He has a new zenith. So that means he would have a new horizontal. Let's look at if that coincides with what it said there.
Yeah, nerd alert. They don't know the difference between a noun and an adjective or a
a
verb.
line or surface that cuts
or an
perpendicularly
adverb.
all plumb lines that it meets. So that means eye to eye. Literally, it has we are looking at another.
Sorry,
vantage
had to
point,
nick
which
away
is
for a
line of
sec.
sight. And hence, everywhere would coincide with the surface of still water. So,
We're still
how
talking
is
about the same
this coinciding
rubbish?
with one another, having the same horizontal plane? It doesn't.
I don't know.
Now let's
Yeah,
do
it
the same
is
thing.
the same rubbish.
Oh, no?
Yeah, no concept. Okay, that's it. He lasted, what, 2 minutes? On sped up.
Well, at least in that second one, he did show that he understands how a globe is supposed to work.
In better than some, but yeah. But he still ignores the reality of it, though. Because he's saying, "Oh, we're standing on like that," and sort of no acknowledgement of scale, at all. So we'll get rid of him. We did that one. Let's get rid of that. Oh, I meant to ask Paul. You got a quiz? Not that we're jumping into that just now, but
I do.
You do. I'm just planning ahead. Right. Good. Just looking at my list here. I meant to ask you earlier. Sorry. I do. I don't know. I've got Bev on my next list. Do you think we can handle Bev at this point in time?
Oh, is that time already? I must be going.
I don't know where the heck is. I think we'll put. Well, let's see if we can handle about 1 minute of this. This was not from the last one. This was from the second last one. Talking about LIGO.
You're gonna love this, bro, and everybody else.
Oh man.
I was going through the LIGO videos the other day. I just wanted to make sure where the motors were and this and that. I just wanted to make sure. So I forgot. How could I run into something and I go, how the hell did I forget this? We all know they're building an underground LIGO named Einstein. I think they named it Einstein, whatever. And a space one, right? We discussed that before.
Yeah, I remember that a little bit, yeah.
Well, how did I forget this? They're going to build because they want to increase the sensitivity of the detection. So they want to build another LIGO with arms not 4 kilometers, but 40 kilometers long.
Did they say where?
No, they haven't chosen a site yet. No.
Gotcha.
As far as I can remember.
I bet they know where they want it to go.
Yeah. Now you guys can imagine the implications of that, right? A 40-kilometer arm that has to be perfectly straight and level.
Yep.
Well, perfectly straight.
A long way.
I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait, bro, for this one.
Yeah.
Silence. What's a silence?
Okay, I'm here. False alarm, I guess. I heard the igniter go on, but I didn't hear the natural gas ignite.
Okay, George.
Hello, George.
Yeah, good morning.
Hey there, Bev. Vertical angles, these sorts of things, adjacent angles, transverse angles, how they all are related to one another when you have parallels that are intersected by line, the same line. And then the other thing is knowing how to compute arc lengths given a radius and an angle of sweep. What is the arc length? And that's about all you need to know, and maybe how a tangent function is defined, but that's the extent of the mathematics. The rest is just working out the algebra and the relationships of the angles and distances.
Yep. All geometry would be deemed Euclidean, and all
Yes,
Euclidean
Bev.
principles.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'm not. I'm just. It's for everybody
This
else.
is just basically no more than high school geometry. You know, they don't get beyond Euclidean geometry, plane geometry, plane, P-L-A-N-E, plane geometry. Not solid geometry, not analytic geometry, but plane geometry.
That's good. So that's how you've worked this out.
Yes.
Okay. So what you mean is you've worked the numbers for how
Yes.
double rodding differential leveling works.
Yes.
Okay. So you think we get the idea here that George has sorted that it is definitely Euclidean geometry, and he was going on about transverse angles and all of that sort of stuff. So he's definitely been away and studied this now. And like he said, it's high school stuff. It's dead easy to be able to see this. All you've got to do is be able to put a picture in your mind of how this double rodding process works. It will be gone over very simple, because it is a very simple process. Shared straight line segment. Sort of explained within the realizing Euclid test. We use this very process.
Except we haven't seen it.
Yeah, and he won't actually tell anybody what it actually is.
No.
Bev doesn't know what double rodding actually is. Bev does not understand it. He'll prove that too in a minute.
Okay, go back.
Cool.
Let's keep going then.
Yes, sir. Stop saying it. He stopped himself from saying it, right? Because he knew it was wrong.
Yeah, that's went a bit too far.
It's a postulate, number 2, I think. In all of the geometries, even the ones that they made up. Not in imaginometry, though. So, George definitely studied it. George has definitely agreed that this is Euclidean, and he's definitely agreed that it's high school stuff that can be done by anyone. All you've got to do is put your mind to this. It does get tricky, so please, if at any time you do put your mind to this and become frightened or whatever by the results that you come to, or the decisions that you come to, then don't be alarmed.
Projection!
Perhaps switch off, you know, go away. You might not want to hear this. If you think there's a chance that you might fall into that trap, I'd sort of stop watching now. I wouldn't go over, because you might end up realising some Euclid or something.
Festering turd of a man, this guy is.
So you have to look at it in both, in 2 cases. One is The simplest case is over on a flat plane, a flat Earth, as you say. That makes it real simple.
Yeah.
And then the other one is you have to work it out on a curved Earth and see what the differences are.
That's not Euclidean then at that point, right?
Of course it is.
No, you can't bend the horizontal and say it's still Euclidean.
I didn't say I bent the horizontal.
Okay.
Bent the surface. Euclidean geometry arcs are permitted in Euclidean geometry.
He nearly said surface then. Do you want to hear that again?
Work it out on a curved Earth and see what
Oh,
the
he's
differences
playing
are.
it back.
Not
Okay.
Euclidean then at that point, right?
Yeah.
Of course it is.
No, you can't bend the horizontal.
Oh yeah,
and
this
say
is
it's
an old
still
one.
Euclidean.
I didn't say I bent the
Georgia.
horizontal. Bent the surface. Euclidean geometry arcs are permitted.
He nearly said surface then, didn't he?
Yes,
Stop saying it. He stopped himself from saying it, right? Because he knew it was wrong. Well, he knew that's what he had to do, but he knew saying it would have exposed himself. And
I see. You speak for him.
Himself.
Speak for him. The fact that he
This is
didn't
the final
actually say
nutsack.
it, but
Be
You
aware.
didn't actually say that, but you just carry on fucking lying.
Is very, very difficult if you hold a model.
Well, it's not too hard to win an argument with a dead guy. Now,
You realize the simplest geometry is what the Greeks did, where they have a straight edge. Bell, this is not going to work if you're going to interrupt me. I do not interrupt. I haven't been interrupting you.
Well, don't talk to me as though you're acting as though I'm stupid. I'm just telling you. I know book 3
You are
in Euclid
stupid.
is the book about circles, right? We understand the geometry involved in this.
Okay, then why are you asking?
Because you're talking about a curved Earth as though it's Euclidean.
Looking at a cross section. If you take a sphere,
that's fine.
if you take a sphere and cut it with a plane, you get a circle, which represents the surface of a sphere. That is Euclidean.
Okay, so here's point number 1. George has now related the Earth to Euclidean geometry because obviously there is only one geometry.
no, it's
And that's the one that when you're dealing with
related
practical
circles
things, like George
to
is going to be attempting to do it.
Euclidean geometry.
Attempting to solve the horizontal paradox.
Circles and arcs.
He's doing it through differential leveling and double rodding. It's a little bit of a trick performed. But George is apparently
you know what? The
thinking
more I
that
hear of this,
Euclidean
the more
geometry is
certain I am
the way to go.
that what I called
Just normal
bent to
geometry
his
everybody's
face
using, right? So why
at
doesn't normal
Christmas
geometry work? Well,
was wholly
Well, you find out,
100% true.
You were bang on.
Not
Yeah, I will back you up all the way with what you called him. You were absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I mean, you take a section of the sphere.
And I
you
couldn't have
cut it with a
rivaled
plane,
him
you get a circle.
because
That gives
it's
you
the
outline
truth.
of the profile of the surface of the sphere. It's a circle. And that's what you work with. And it's like, it's just a cross section. And that's Euclidean geometry.
I get that. Now, do you want me to wipe my board and then we can get on the board and you can walk us through it if you haven't got any drawings?
Well, if you want to do that, but let's just talk about it first.
Okay,
before we have to
if
go
we get
somewhere.
struggling, then I can access the board for you if you want, right?
If you get struggling.
Struggling.
No person struggles
Does
here
everybody
as you,
think
Pete.
I'm doing okay being nice to George? George seems to think that we were horrible, nasty, vile people, but in most of the conversations
are.
I've ever had with George,
You're scum.
nice. I don't think I've ever threatened any death threats upon George or done anything
You're the
like that for a
vilest
joke.
bunch of wankers I've ever had the misfortune to encounter.
Yeah, so
I watched a thing. Have you heard of the Fire Festival? The big party that was a big, ended up in a big con, lots of $1 million.
Oh, yes, I have heard of that, yeah.
Yes, I watched a few things. So the reason why I bring that up is at the very end of the Fire Festival, it's a video where they're doing their, what did we do wrong type thing. And one guy's saying, we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't kill anybody. Everyone's sort of like, it just reminded me of that sort of thing.
Blimey.
I haven't been nasty because I haven't threatened physical violence on him, so therefore I haven't been nasty. And somehow more levels of nastiness. Anyway.
That server is populated by the vilest group of scum you'll ever meet. They are to a man or alleged woman. They are fucking awful people. They are just scum, just the vilest scum. Oh no! Oh, he seems to think we're rude and nasty. Yes, you are, all of you. That's why nobody goes there, because they've all made the mistake of going in there and talking to you a lot and thinking, "Oh God, I need a shower now. Let's get out of here." They're the worst of the worst. They're the lowest of the low.
I don't know if you guys ever heard Nathan Oakley talk to George, but
no.
He was not very nice to George. He treated George with a level of respect.
Who's Nathan Oakley? Really?
Thanks for watching, Blue. Thank you for coming.
Some dude that has a show, and George went on that show a couple times and got berated like a child.
Yeah. Oh, that's the guy that if anybody that's listening, I wouldn't go to that show.
Yeah, well, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
Blue Marble's in the chat saying we're like criticising him. Like, we're not. We're going over his stuff, Blue. This is George's legacy. This is George attempting to solve the horizontal paradox for you Blue Marble scientists. This is modern mathematics.
But still, criticizing is nothing wrong. You
Well,
can't
Blue
criticize.
thinks it's something wrong with it. Unless he's praising us. Well done.
Where is tolerance then? If you cannot criticize.
He said there's only 17 people watching, which is right. It's right, because I told him, Billy, I don't think you should be here. You shouldn't listen to this, Blue. This is the final nutsacking. This is the end.
And he calls it fucking nutsack, and he says he's not being rude to George.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about all the death threats.
Fucking wanker.
Came from George. I mean, he is that guy. Let's leave all of that stuff in the past. Let's try and help George for Philly's legacy. I don't know who's going to help.
You can help George by never mentioning his name again.
Just stating that we are definitely using Euclidean geometry, and I think that's what Blue Marble Science uses as well, as in all of the people who live in reality use Euclidean geometry, even though Brenda seems to go against that. And they may want to contradict themselves at some point.
Asking me yesterday about the readings on poles. If,
And
say,
yet, when Bev
you
was
set the
given a
poles,
simple Euclidean geometry problem, he couldn't solve it.
No.
75 meters apart, and then after setting your two first poles on the foresight on the differential leveling, and then move your.
I'm sorry, Blue. You can get out of here. Who's making death threats? Not me, Blue. If you've misrepresented that, I don't know where you've heard that. Has anybody else hear any of that? Or is Blue just making stuff up?
Making stuff up, yes.
Nice one, Blue. I told you, Blue. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be listening to this. This
Pause
is an
it for a
impossible
second.
task.
Yep.
Actually, what Bill said earlier, I don't know if you caught it or not. Bill said, "I've never made any death threats toward George," or some remark to that extent.
Yeah.
And I thought, here's a good chance to do to Bev what he does to everybody else.
Yeah.
So I typed in the chat, "Why are you making death threats, Bev?" And that's what he's reacting to.
Yeah, because that's exactly what Bev does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just turned the tables on him and gave him a dose of his own medicine, and you see how pissed off he got.
Yep.
Right, yeah.
Didn't like it, did he?
No.
I've done that to him on Twitter, so just turned it back on him, and he hates it. Because he knows what you're doing. He knows that you're doing what he does. Because he's perfectly aware of what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
He knows the game he's playing, and he fucking hates it when you do it to him.
Yep. Okay.
With the Blue Marble
That's what he was talking about.
You'll end up nutsacking yourself. I wouldn't stay around here, Blue. This is not.
Yeah, it's not
good
healthy
you,
for
Blue.
global believers to be in here.
This is one of the things that reality hurts when you hear it, Blue. Don't stick around trying to make veiled threats of your own.
On level had 75 meters and then shot back on a backside to the poles, and you read say 1.330.
Do you want to hear that again, right? Because he did just do that, George. George is talking to us about some double rodding, right? So you're looking at a rod, and what number would you read on it?
On a backside to the poles,
George.
And you read say 1.330.
1.33 0.
Yeah, clearly
Hear it again?
straight.
Thank you very much, George. And nobody scripted this. Nobody gave this to George. This is what George used to come round and do.
On a backside to the poles, and you read say 1.330 on the first backside pole. What would I read on the other pole that's 150 meters away? And I gave you a number then, but I had only figured it using on curved earth. On the backside, I didn't figure in, as I told you, on the when setting up the two double rods, and it turns out it does modify the reading, and in fact, it makes it even harder to detect because in the nature of the double rod differential leveling, it takes out most of the effects of the earth curve. However, not all of it. There is a bit of residual left, and depending upon how far you space your poles from one another in the outer level determines how much error you're going to get in your readings. And I was really quite surprised at 75 meters that if you're looking back after you move your outer level forward to do a backside to the two double rods, and if you're reading 1.330, you actually have to have rods with much finer graduations and a auto level with much more capability in terms of resolution in order to read the errors that would be caused by earth curve. Because it turns out when you're shooting back on your back sight at 150 meters to the first rod in the double rod, the error that you're only going to pick up is 1.3 millimeters. And that that works out less to, you're not going to be able to read that on your pulse.
There you go. Nobody said it couldn't be done. Double rodding.
But if you can't read the numbers, what are you doing?
What do you mean you can't read it? How do you get 1.3 millimeters if you can't read it? You can't measure it. Like, what's there a number there for if you can't measure it? How does he know you can't measure it? Of course you can measure it. They run to 1 millimeter. First order measurements. He's going over that, so they can be much more accurate than that. This is the problems it's caused from double rodding. And this is only over 100 meters. With an auto level. Theoretically, by George, right? Because he doesn't know actually, I don't know how it works, but yeah. So, welcome to the how to nutsack a and all a nutsacking is when you put your mind into a model where the model starts to take over what would happen in reality, were you to not add the model. Once you do that and you're down to 150 meters, and who can't do something over 150 meters? It almost sounds really weird, doesn't it, that me and Spot On have both got 400 meter water levels. Might be a test involved in it. If George says that you can see it within 150 meters, it might be worth actually doing a test, because George says it's there, and we, we do the realizing Euclid test.
You don't, though.
Well, we do the water level equivalent.
Use the words.
A bit more down to earth.
You're not doing your testing.
More real, if you can say that. Less technology. More physical.
The double rodding probably would be really great when you did your test. Why didn't you get somebody to do that while you're doing your water test that you supposedly did that we haven't seen it? I think that carries on. I don't know if there's anything more in that. Is there, Blue? This carries on picking apart stuff he doesn't know. And he's got some pictures.
Yeah, he gets on the board and starts messing around. He gets double rodding wrong.
Let's get up to there. Yeah. Okay.
It's up to everybody else to imagine what they would think would be going on in these scenarios.
All right,
so
I
think I've got a link to that page.
Now, there's absolutely no issue when we're talking about doing this double rod differential leveling, say on a flat plane, a flat surface, because everything works out. I don't have any disagreement that everything lines along a straight line and are also parallel to horizontals. That's not the issue here, because that always works out on a flat surface.
Okay, so it always works out. Works out in reality as well, but for George, he's not dealing with the reality side now. He's going to make it complicated for some reason.
No.
Where the issue comes in is what are your limitations if you're trying to do this on a curved surface. That's where the problems come in. And so if you take your double rods, just for the benefit of everyone, what you proposed yesterday is we start out with a rod that has a 1 meter height on it. The one thing we have to establish, though, is when we're setting up our rods and we're setting up our auto levels, we're assuming it's like on the surface of water, correct? It's perfectly smooth. There's no hills, there's no valleys where we have to make height or elevation corrections. We're just assuming it's a nice smooth surface like on a canal or a body of water, correct?
Yeah, we're assuming, assuming a level surface, right? Perfectly level surface on the floor.
Yeah, I call it a smooth surface.
And we're assuming that the auto level makes a horizontal, right?
Yes, at its position of setup, yes.
Okay. Okay, so you can see, I've got my whiteboard on, I've got the auto levels, and I've got the poles in between. Very crudely drawn, because I've just drawn them as I was talking to George in order to help George.
I was just going to nick off for a second. I'm going to leave this running so you guys can have fun with Bev just for a minute or two. I'll be back shortly.
Okay. That's the simplest proof that you didn't know you already knew. Keep that in mind when you're looking at this and watching it. And don't forget that George was the mathematical genius on the Blue Marble Science team. He's the best. He was the best. They all lorded over him. God rest his soul.
So we're on a smooth surface, like on a canal, the surface of water, all right, still water. Nice smooth surface. Okay, so we start out, so the bottoms of all our poles are on this smooth surface. So you start out, you put a pole up, and you put a 1 meter mark above the surface. That's what you started with, and then you move your auto level ahead. I don't know what, 5-10 meters or so to site that to adjust the auto level to that height, right?
Yeah. Can you see that there?
Oh, are you presenting or something?
I've got my camera on, so on the
Okay,
left-hand side there.
Hold on.
I'm just going to keep updating it as we go.
Just a minute. Is there a way to expand this? It's just a thumbnail on my screen.
I think you double-click it.
Oh, okay. Hang on. What the hell? What's going on here? I'm clicking it, but it doesn't. It just tells me about you. It's not giving me any options for the screen. This is different than what I've seen before. Huh. Hang on.
Use the other finger, George.
This is really weird.
That's the wrong finger. Use the other
Don't you
finger.
have to go live or something? All I'm getting is a thumbnail.
Is everyone else okay with the camera? Like, can you expand that?
Yeah, I've got the screen on.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah, you can.
Are you getting
expand it.
Are you getting full screen though, Montreal?
Yeah, I got full screen, George.
Give us a Discord lesson on how to enlarge the camera screen, please.
All I'm getting is a thumbnail, and I'm not getting any options for expansion. There's nothing.
George, if you're using a phone, all you got to do is double tap.
I'm not using a phone. This is a computer laptop.
Oh.
Go.
It should turn up right now.
If you click on, see where we're talking here, George. Click on the
Yes,
live.
I've done that there. I've done that.
Click
yes.
on the live on YouTube, so you see everybody's individual bits. There should be a
Yes,
page.
I'm there.
Right
Yes.
now, double click
Okay,
on the one
wait,
you want to
hold
watch.
on, hold on. I got it here. Okay, something's changed on my Discord. Okay, all right. So you got your the 1 meter height. All right. You got your auto level set up. Yeah.
We're measuring 1 meter on this first click, right? We've got
Correct.
75 meters, and then over the 150. 75, 150. This is the backside.
God, no, I can't stand seeing that.
Almost. I mean, yesterday what you wanted to do was when you moved your auto level ahead, you raised it up so that it was shooting that second pole on the foresight. Well, why don't you label the poles so we know what we're talking about? Call the first pole pole A, the second pole pole B.
You want to name the poles?
Yeah, because it makes it much easier to talk about what we're talking about. Yeah, that's A, that's B. Now call the first position of the auto level 1 and the second position 2.
This is how George was. We'll call this one. Okay.
Just call it 1, position 1.
Yeah, he wanted
that makes it much
clarity,
easier.
something
All
you
right.
always try and avoid,
So,
you wanker.
The auto level at 1 to site pole A is 75 meters, pole A to pole B is 75 meters, and then we move the auto level ahead so that pole B is 75 meters from that auto level. But yesterday you were raising the auto level so that when you did the back sight to B, rather than sighting the mark that you did on the foresight, you were actually above 1 meter. You're at 1.33 meters. Do you still want to do that, or how do you want to do this?
Well, that's what you would do, right? You would. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, you're the one that's had to think about this. So you tell us your way. I was just trying to give you a practical idea of.
Yeah. Well, let's just do the practical idea. Let's just go with that. Okay. Let's go with the numbers you used yesterday. So the auto level at position 2 has been raised up, so when you're sighting, doing your back sight to B, rather than reading 1 meter, you're reading 1.330 meters. Okay.
I'm back. Do we keep going?
You're not going to sight the second one.
Or we had enough?
Yeah.
We've had enough.
We had enough. Sorry about that. A little bit of a domestic issue I had to resolve.
I've had enough.
You've had enough?
Yeah.
Let's get rid of that. Sorry about that. It could have been worse. I could have just left you in silence. Well, actually, would have that been worse?
Yes, I could have gone and got the Hoover out and done some housework.
Yes.
I'd be more constructive than listening to that.
Let's go on. So, sorry about that. So he explained how he didn't understand double rotting, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, honestly, he had no idea.
No. It sounded like the concept was a bit beyond him. I think he keeps going back to differential.
If you're going to double rod, you don't set 2 rods up the way he shows it in that diagram that's up on the screen right now. That's not how they're done.
No.
The double rods are in line with each other into the screen.
Yes.
They're just separated. They're about the same distance from the auto level, but
That's
separated
the other ones. Yeah.
the other direction. and you shoot each one of those, and you call it like TP1H and TP1L.
Yeah.
And then, leaving the rods there, you move your auto level ahead and shoot back and get a back sight. So now you got 2 foresights and 2 back sights, and that's all it amounts to. Then the rods move.
Yeah.
The rods then move ahead of the auto level position. You set up 2 more turn points, shoot 2 foresights, and then move them the level again. That's how double rodding is actually done. This is bullshit.
I think he only understands differential leveling in one form, and that's it. So he can't.
Double rodding is just
double
differential. 2 differential levels running together.
Yes.
Differential leveling 2 times at each position.
Even the bit of document, I saw he had a document. I had a copy of that document that basically saying double rodding is where you basically take the same but different routes. So basically run at the same time. So, but 2 routes at the same time.
Yeah, leaving the instrument set at one position, you set 2 rod positions about the same distance from the instrument. But hopefully at different elevations.
Yes. Now, I'm just going to join meeting. No, I'm going to start a meeting. I'm going to start up a Zoom call so we can have Paul run his.
Oh yeah.
Yes. If that's all right. So I will dump out to everybody the link. Let's join and get one. Here we go. Here, participants. I'll even remember to turn on the. So I'll start at the top. So it'll come through DM in Discord if you're looking for it. I will when I get there. Blue. Paul, most important.
Yeah.
Well, it is. It'd be a very boring quiz if I don't let him join the Zoom meeting. There we go. If anyone else drops in, I'll get to them. Okay. Dot that down. Let's join the Zoom. Transfer so they can see that. There we go. Everyone got that link?
Where did you send it?
DM in Discord.
Yeah. It took its time arriving.
There with it. And you were first. There you are. And farmers, I assume, will be coming shortly.
Alright.
And I've got to change the share settings so that you can share.
Yeah, good. Yeah. You remembered this time, hey?
You should be able to share now.
Okay. Let's do that.
Where are you, farmers? Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting there.
All right.
I stopped watching and it kicked me out of Discord.
Okay, I'll put up the. Okay, Peanuts. You ready up there, Peanuts? Make sure you.
So we've got some more high school physics for you.
Oh, great! I like high school physics.
High school physics. Yeah. Get your calculators out. Alan, you can do it in your head, man.
Where's my? Oh yeah, I put the calculator away because my grandson was here. Because he loves playing with my calculator.
Right.
He thinks it's a phone.
Right, yeah. Oh, okay. Does anybody
Well,
answer when he calls?
I'm sure in mind they do.
Remember, he is only 3.
Yeah.
Are we answering in chat or are
Just
we
tell me when you
just
read it.
talking?
Well, you might want to post some numbers in chat.
Just it's
Yeah.
like a discussion.
Yeah.
Just like a discussion. I mean, the peanuts can answer and comment and whatever not however they like, and you guys can just, like, if you know how to solve the problem, just tell me how to solve the problem. The idea is just to generally solve the problem. All right. Okay. Shall we go? All right.
Let's do it.
So in question 1, we've got a model rocket. A model rocket of mass 0.2 kilograms is launched by means of a spring as shown in figure 1. There you go. There's figure 1. All right. The spring is initially compressed by 20 centimeters, and the rocket leaves the spring as it reaches its natural length.
Right.
The force compression characteristics of the spring are shown in figure 2, like that. Okay?
Right, yeah.
And question you have to answer is, how much energy is stored in the spring when it is compressed?
I would have
So
said
when you push the spring down and how much?
I would have said 1,000 newtons.
You would have said what?
How much energy is stored? 1,000.
Yeah, how much energy is stored, Timbo? 1,000 what?
Newtons. N. For newtons, I assume.
No, we don't measure energy in newtons, Timbo. We measure force in
newtons. Energy.
Yeah.
So that
energy. I want the energy, man.
I got to convert.
Yeah.
I got to do maths. Sorry.
I
can do. I can do the maths.
You do.
I can do the maths.
This is maths. You can actually. Do
I can actually do it in my head if I wanted to.
Any idea how you would do this?
I think it might be 200 joules.
Yeah.
Because you multiply the force by the distance.
Not quite right. You're on the right track, but you're not quite right. There.
I'm going with the Elmigs. 4.
if it was the force by the distance, Alan, that would assume that the force is constant. But here the force is not constant. It increases with distance.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just a matter of multiplying the force by the distance. Work done equals force times distance only if the force is constant. But it's not here.
No, because it's
so how might you modify that concept?
Oh, it'll be the area under the triangle that is...
It will be. That's correct. Which would be...
Which is half of 0.2 squared, so...
It'll be half of what Alan said.
Yeah.
Because force times distance would give you the area of the rectangle or the square under the graph, but you're looking for the area of the under the force distance graph. It's a triangle, so it'll be half times the length by the height there. Yeah. So it would be the amount of energy supplied is equal to the area under the graph, which is just half by 0.2 by 1,000, which would be 100 joules.
100 joules.
Yeah. Okay.
So times that by 1,000.
Yeah. Nerd Alert got it right out there. So close.
Eventually.
Yeah. You got it there eventually, Alan. Well done.
And Speaky Bedhair says, this isn't a quiz, it's a test.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Can we get a certificate at the end of it?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, why not? So, same situation here, except this time the question you've got to answer is, what is the speed of the rocket as it leaves the spring? So, concept here, like, how are you going to calculate this? So now you know how much energy it's got stored in the spring. You'd assume that it gives all that energy to the rocket as it leaves the spring. So how fast is it going? How would you calculate that?
That
Any
would
ideas?
be half mv squared is the
Yeah.
energy.
Kinetic energy, right?
Yeah.
Yep. The Mix is right. This question is not taken from a Flirt physics book. No, it's not.
No, because there's no such thing.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as a Flirt physics book.
No, there isn't. No.
No.
Alan's right. The speed of the rocket can be calculated using the equation for kinetic energy. And kinetic energy is right, Alan, half mv squared. So we know that the energy was 100 newtons, 100 joules. So you put 100 equals half times 0.2 times v squared. Right, if you double 100, you get 200, and then you divide it by 0.2, you get 1,000. And the square root of 1,000 is, anyone know off by hand what the square root of 1,000 is? No?
It's
Yes?
31.62.
You are correct. 31.6 is close enough. Yeah. So yes, it leaves with a speed of 31.6 meters per second. Same situation. How high does it go? Ignoring air resistance. There's a number of ways you could do this. There's a hard way and an easy way. Any ideas? Of course, taking into account the relative density and buoyancy of the,
But there is no relative density because we're doing it in a vacuum, aren't we? You already said that.
RDD. Yeah. Oh, I'd love to see the Flirts use RDD to calculate this. You reckon they could? No, of course not. Any ideas how you might calculate this? Knowing that it's got 100 joules of energy. So Nerd Alert's come up with 51 meters. I wonder how he got that. Right? The easiest way to calculate this is to calculate the height at which it now has the equivalent potential energy. Yeah. So all the kinetic energy gets converted to potential energy or gravitational potential energy. And we calculate that using the formula mgh. Mass times g times h. Force times distance, right? Yeah. So doing that, if we plug in what we know, 100 joules equals 0.2 times 9.8 times h, and then just get h by itself, you get h equals 51 meters. Well done, Nerd Alert. Excellent. All right. When the rocket reaches its maximum height, its parachute opens and the system begins to fall. In the following questions, you should still ignore the effects of air resistance on the rocket, but of course, it is critical to the force on the parachute. This retarding force due to the parachute is shown as R in figure 3. Right? There you go. And its variation as a function of time after the parachute is opened is shown in figure 4. There you go. The question is, what is the acceleration of the rocket at a time 5 seconds after the parachute opens? What do you got to do here? So I want to know what the acceleration is going down 5 seconds after the parachute opens.
So you know the force at that point acting on retardant.
Yeah, what
force.
is it?
1.8.
Yeah. Tell me what it is. Is that the only force that's acting on it, Timbo?
No, that's just the force of R. Obviously, you've got gravity. Gravity.
Yeah. What's the gravitational force?
Well, that hasn't changed. Sorry, Alan. Go on.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the gravitational force is mg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so the force will be mg minus r.
Yep. And what will all that work out to be? Can you do that?
I could if I could remember how much the
You're allowed to
thing
use a
weighed.
calculator, Alan.
Yeah, no, Paul, I just said I could tell you that if I could remember what the rocket system weighed, what the mass of the rocket
Point
system.
two.
I forgot.
Point two
of a kilo.
Yeah.
200 grams.
Yeah.
I love the way Nerd Alert gives an answer and a spooky bed hair just points up to it.
That one. Whatever
I
it
love
says.
that. Yeah. Oh, that one. Yeah. Same as that.
Got to look in the other direction, Spooky. You guys will put you back to back, so you can't.
Yeah. Let's see how Nerd Alert went, right? So from the graph, the retarding force is 1.8 newtons. Well done, Timbo. You got that bit right. Right. The force from gravity is just 0.2 times 9.8, which is 1.96 newtons. And so, of course, 1x downwards and the other 1x upwards. So you subtract one from the other to get a net force of 0.16 newtons. And then from Newton's second law, that'll give you the acceleration. So you use F equals ma, with F being 0.16 newtons and the mass being 0.2. And that gives you an answer of 0.8 meters per second, or as Nerd Alert calculated to one more decimal place, 0.81 meters per second squared.
But as we discussed last week, it's 0.8.
Correct. Yeah. 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 All right. We've got a different situation this time. The safe speed for a train taking a curve on level ground is determined by the force that the rails can take before they move sideways relative to the ground.
Coefficient of side
From
friction.
time to time, trains derail because they take curves at speeds greater than that recommended for safe travel. Yeah. Figure 5, that's figure 5, shows a train at position P taking a curve on horizontal ground at a constant speed in the direction as shown by the arrow. So there at point P, you can see the train's moving in this direction around this curve. All right. In which direction at point P is the force exerted by the rails on the wheels of the train? Don't use any of those directions shown there. Just tell me, which direction do you think that force would be exerted by the rails on the on the wheels?
Exerted by the rails on the wheel.
On the wheels, yeah.
Yes, because obviously.
So in which direction is the?
Yeah, they're forcing out.
That,
Go on. Oh.
that will be to the centre of the in the radial direction towards the centre of the curve, and as that looks to be a circular curve, that will be the centre of the circle.
I can tell you that all railway lines are radial, so it is definitely a circular curve.
Yeah. Okay. And Alan is correct. If the train is travelling in circular motion, then the force must act towards the centre of the circle, of course. So it would be perpendicular to the direction of travel. Yeah. All right. Same situation. All right. The radius of curvature of the track that is safe at 60 kilometres an hour is approximately 200 metres. So now I want to know, what radius of curvature of track would I need and still be safe if we increase the speed to 120 kilometres an hour, assuming that the track's built to the same standards? So I'm doubling the speed. What do I need to do to the radius of curvature of the track?
Square it, probably, I think. It'll look the.
I would agree with Blue. I would think you would square it.
What, so 200 squared? That would be a big number.
No. That's not right.
Yeah.
No.
I'm waiting for Spooky's up pointing hand to Nerd Alert's answer. You're on the right track, though. All right. Since the centripetal force is proportional to the square of the velocity, you are right there, right? Then doubling the velocity will increase it by a factor of 4. All right. So you need to increase the centripetal force by a factor of 4 if you double the speed. All right. However, the centripetal force is also inversely proportional to the radius of curvature. And so increasing this by a factor of 4 will reduce the force by a factor of 4. So you have to increase the radius by a factor of 4 to bring that force back to the same as it would be for the slower speed. And so multiplying it by 4, you get 800 meters. Nerd Alert was indeed correct. Well done. Okay. The safe speed for a train, same thing. This time, what's going to happen is at point Q, the driver applies the brakes to slow down the train on the curve. All right. Which direction is the net force now acting? A, B, C, or D?
Well, assuming that A is pointing at the centre of the circle,
yeah,
I would suggest B.
Yeah, it has to be B.
I haven't got my mic on. I said
You're
B
correct.
first. But you didn't hear me.
No, you didn't. You said it third.
I know. I thought you had said first because it's the same.
You
for
are
roads.
correct. It would be the sum, the vector sum of the braking force and the centripetal force, and so it would be B. Well done.
Yeah.
All right. I'm conscious of time, so I want to move things on a bit. Right.
You're right.
So a small truck of mass 3. How much time have I got, Timbo?
I get a little bit. It's not telling me exactly, but I think you got a bit.
Yep.
Just keep going. It'll tell me when we get close. I'll let you know.
Righto. Yeah, okay. Yeah. A small truck of mass 3 tons collides with a stationary car of mass 1 ton. They remain locked together as they move off. The speed immediately after the collision was known to be 7 meters per second. From the jammed reading on the car speedometer, Robin, one of the police investigating the crash, uses conservation of momentum to estimate the speed of the truck before the collision. What value did she get?
I've got a gut feeling it was 1 point. Yeah, no, that doesn't sound right there. I'm going 14 meters per second, but
You're going 14. How did you calculate that, Timbo?
I just guessed.
You guessed?
Not really.
Did you make an educated guess? Or just
educated guess based on that if you've got one mass travelling in a direction, let's say at 3, and then another mass travelling the opposite direction at 1. So if you take 1 from 3, you'll get 2 and times that by the known speed at the end. So we're assuming that...
hang on. You need to read the question again, Timbo.
Yeah.
Collides with a stationary car?
Stationary car?
Was the stationary car moving in the opposite direction?
It was at 0 meters per second.
Yeah.
So I've worked out the momentum of the after the collision masses.
Yeah. What's
which
that,
is
Alan?
28,000 newton meters.
Right. Kilograms meters per second. Yeah. Yep.
And then so now, of course, I just need to work out what a mass of 3 tons has that same momentum.
Yeah.
When travelling at what speed it has to have.
Yeah. So that's what Alan's done. He's calculated that. So the momentum has to be the same before, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So 28,000 has to equal 3,000 times the velocity.
Times V.
So you just do 28,000 divided by 3 and you get 9.3 meters per second. Well done, Nerd Alert.
Yeah.
You're getting the correct answer. Why was Robin moonlighting on Batman? Yeah. And for those smarty pants out there, is momentum always conserved? Under what conditions is momentum actually conserved? Do you know? Is it always conserved? Or is it sometimes not?
I'm trying to think why would it not be conserved? It would have to be transferred.
Yeah.
If it's not conserved.
It isn't. I don't think it's always conserved, because sometimes sometimes you can convert some of the momentum into energy, can't you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If it's arguably going into something else.
It's the difference between elastic and inelastic collisions, and I can't remember which one.
No, it's got nothing to do with it, elastic or inelastic. Elastic or inelastic has to do with kinetic energy, not with energy conservation, not momentum conservation. Okay. There are two conditions which you need to satisfy for conservation of momentum. One, I like this one: swing and a miss.
Yeah.
Swing and a hit, another hit, and then another hit. Yeah, you need for the mass to be conserved. In other words, it needs to be a closed system, right? If the mass changes, then the momentum will change, and also you need it to be having no external forces acting on that system.
Yeah.
Because if you have external forces acting, of course, the momentum will change. All right. So those are the two conditions you need to satisfy for conservation of momentum. Closed system with no external forces acting. Yeah.
Anything like
Question 10.
friction or gravity or
some
other net force will
change the velocity of the particles and change the momentum. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Is this an elastic collision?
Inelastic.
Kind of answers. I already answered that a little bit. Is an elastic collision? What does that mean? It means energy is conserved. So would energy be conserved in this collision or not? What would you do? You would have to calculate the energy before and the energy after the collision. So to do that, the energy before is half mv squared. Turns out to be 1.3 times 10 to the power 5 joules, whereas after it's same thing, 9.8 times 10 to the power 4 joules. So the energy is less after the collision than it was before, and so it's not an elastic collision. Typically, when things collide and lock together, they usually aren't elastic collisions. Especially if it deforms the vehicles, energy has gone into that deformation, so it's not elastic. And your last question, Newton was the first person to quantify the gravitational force between two masses, big M and little m, with their centres of mass separated by distance r as F equals G mm on r squared. We all know that one, where G is the universal gravitational constant and has a value of 6.67 times 10 to the minus 11 Newton meters squared kilogram per kilogram squared. Blues measured that. For a mass m on the surface of the Earth, mass big M for the mass of the Earth, this becomes F equals G m, little m, where G equals G m on r squared. All right. Which one of the expressions A to D does not describe the term little g? So which one is incorrect? Any ideas?
Yeah, there's two of them I don't like.
Two of them you don't like. Which two don't you like?
B and C.
B and C.
The force of mass feels at the surface of the Earth.
G's not a force.
No. All right, the correct answer is in fact B. C is correct because G is the force experienced by a mass of 1 kilogram, and that's the qualifier there, that it is for 1 kilogram at the surface of the Earth. So if you're saying that it's the force per unit kilogram, right, that's the same as what you get. Newtons per kilogram is the same as a gravitational field strength. It's a different wording. It's a different wording of A. So A and C are actually equivalent statements. All right, because that's what a gravitational field strength actually is. It's the force per newton. I mean, it's the force. It's the force per kilogram of mass. That's what a gravitational field strength actually is. So A and C are equivalent. D is just a different way of saying that. And B is incorrect because you're right. For B, it's not a force at all. If I say it's a force per kilogram, that's different. But if I just qualify it by saying it's a force, that's incorrect. All right, so B was in fact the incorrect answer. Yeah, the only option which does not describe the term G is option B. And that was your quiz test for today.
I was going to say B because it's inert, it has no feelings.
There you go.
Interesting thing is you described for
time as well.
radius. Oh, we're running out of time. There we go. I've got enough time to catch this before we dump out. On roads, we use E plus F equals big V velocity in over 127R, which because we use a super elevated roadway, whereas on railways they do have a cant, which if you're doing the proper formula for railways, you'd have the cant involved as well. So just very similar. And you have to remember what F is. So F will change depending on what you're measuring it for. It's the coefficient of side friction. So, and the interesting thing was I was involved where I observed an accident. No, the police took me in as a witness to describe and stuff. And they were talking about it, and because I was road design, they actually use the same formulas, obviously, in their calculations as we do for road design. So I found that very interesting. Anyway, I'm about to end.
What? You mean so they use real life physics?
Yeah, funny enough, they use the same physics to work out how a car stops on the road.
What? There's no such thing as police physics.
Well, I had this idea that maybe the police just, someone sent them a formula, they sent off to somewhere in the middle of nowhere. But no, this was just the ordinary, relatively ordinary police. Just obviously do their own maths. They don't have to send off to some techo. Anyway.
What, they don't send it off to a lab?
No.
What they do everything else?
They said, oh, well, if the car was travelling at such and such a speed, and then it should have stopped in this much distance. The skid marks were this much long.
It's the skid marks or lack of that tend to give things away.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he didn't even think about hitting the brakes. Yeah.
No.
What,
right.
skid mark on the road or the skid mark in the undies?
Both,
probably.
Both are quite a good indication.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to kick you out. We'll go back to Discord.
Righto.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. We're back here. Oh, why can't I hear you talking? Why can't I hear you talking?
Because none of us were actually talking.
Ah, okay. No, I could see you going green, but maybe you're just breathing heavily into your microphone.
Sorry.
It's all right. No, that was what.
At least I've been using the mute button every time I've needed to cough so far today.
Yeah, I just forget to turn it back on. And then I missed the answer, which was, that's the same as road design. And then I realised that none of you heard me saying that. So anyway, you never believe me. What do we got? Thanks for that, Paul. That was really good. I do enjoy that. It's good to go over that stuff. Right unit, wrong unit.
Yeah,
yes.
It's just a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. What have we got? I'm still streaming there. I am. What have I got on my list? I've got. Let's transfer that. So there's only water out in the YouTube. Let's fix that for a start. Now we did the sketty. We did that one. I have a tune. I don't want to. Oh no, let's not do that one. That's 49 minutes long. Let's not do that one.
Yeah, let's not.
I have this one, and I've got a couple else on my list. So, has anyone listened to this one? I've seen it come up on my feed, but I haven't watched it, I've got to admit. So, I don't know if it's any good. I'll put it on. I'll put it on flow speed, even though he's not a floof. Let's see what's in it.
Flat Earthers have filled bathtubs full of tears because they don't have a map that works. They've tried the azimuthal equidistant map, but Australia looks ridiculous and no flights would work, and it doesn't match sunrise and sunset directions.
No.
Awake Souls and Limitless tried one where the equator was wavy all over the place. That was ridiculous.
Sorry, guys.
And it teleported you. That's silly. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Daznez had one that was in the shape of a diamond. I don't know how that fits with his Bible version, but it seemed a little silly there too. Well, and of course, Arwen uses the Mercator map.
All.
You may, after this, you may find a new appreciation for the Mercator map. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do what no flat earther has the guts to do since Tiger Dan. I'm going to show you a flat earth map, and it's going to be based on observation. Sorry, I caught myself. Observations. I got to be serious. Specifically, observations on the equinox, and it just so happens that yesterday was the equinox. So what better day to celebrate a map based on observations on the equinox than on the day after the equinox? So I am going to show you how it's done and what flat earthers don't have the guts to do. I'm going to start by showing you this. Here is, let me fix that so that you can see it a little bit better. That is, now I tested, I confirmed the right way to pronounce this. That's Aranaku Island in Kiribati. Kiribati, they say, not Kiribati, Kiribati. There it is. Now that is in the Pacific Ocean, and you may notice it's right on the equator. Now midday, somewhere around midday in Kiribati there, in Aranuka Island, the sun is rising in Indonesia there at Gango Hilya in Indonesia. So at sunrise at Gango Hilya in Indonesia, the sun is due east. At the same time, the sun is over Aranuka Island in Kiribati. So that means that the sunrise being due east, well, that means that they must be on a due east line there, just between those 2 points, at least. Now let's move forward here. Sometime around midday in Gango Hilya, Indonesia, it's sunrise at Nanyuki, Kenya, who also happen to be on the equator. And it's due east for them as well. Since it's due east for them, that means that the line from Nanyuki, Kenya to Gango Hilya, Indonesia must be a straight line due east. There's no choices. You don't get to say that it's not that, flat earthers, because as soon as you do, you have just violated this very basic observation. Now, sometime around midday in Nanyuki, Kenya, it is sunrise in Macapa, Brazil. And it's due east in Macapa, Brazil. That means that it must be a due east line from Macapa to Nanyuki, to Gango, Hilia, to Aranuka Island. A straight line due east. This is based on observations that anybody can make. If you disagree with these observations, feel free to go to any of these locations on the equator on one of the days of the equinoxes. You get 2 a year, and see if indeed the sun rises due east. I think you will find that it does. Now, somewhere around midday at Macapa, Brazil, it is sunrise in Quito, Ecuador. And the sunrise is due east in Quito, Ecuador on the equinox, meaning that it must be a straight line from Quito to Macapa. You don't get a choice on this, flat earthers. That's the way observational reality is. And then, of course, on somewhere around midday on Quito, in Quito, Ecuador, is sunrise back over at Aranuka Island in Kiribati. And that means that it must be a straight line from Aranuka, Kiribati, to Quito, Ecuador, to Macapa, Brazil, to Nanyuki, Kenya, to Gango Hilia, Indonesia, and all the way back to Aranuka Island in Kiribati. There is no option for this. You don't get to say nuh-uh, because that would be obviously wrong. This is observational reality. Deny this and make a fool of yourselves. If the Earth is flat, this must be what the equator looks like on the equinox. You don't have a choice. I don't know how it would work. It seems like you may need to have some Pac-Man effect going, because I don't know how many Quito Ecuadors there are other than the one. So how is it that the sun can be rising and setting due east, rising due east and setting due west on all of these locations throughout that one day? And they must be on that line. There's only one Quito, people. There's only one sun. And teleporting, well, that's a bit of a problem. But that's the problem that you flat earthers must claim in order to remain flat earthers. Because this is observational reality. You don't get to nuh-uh this away. So now that's one observation on the equator, but I did not address what it looks like outside of the equator. So let's do the same thing. Let's look at what happens instead of on a line of latitude, the equator on the equinox. Let's look what happens on a line of longitude on the equator, or sorry, a line of longitude on the day of the equinox. What does observational reality tell us about it? Well, let's take, and this is a Mercator style or an equirectangular projection here. May or may not be correct. We will find out. But we know that on 20 degrees east longitude, I mean, it shows that because it goes all the way down to the southern edge of South Africa and all the way up to Norway. So this is one of the most well-covered lines of longitude on the Earth. Well covered by land. And of course, you could go south to Antarctica if you wanted to confirm any of this. But this is easy to do. Anybody that lives in this vicinity could just go there that day or phone up somebody on the day of the equinox and see if these observations match. Of course, you all know they will. No flat earther would ever be that gullible, would they, to try to claim that the sun doesn't do what we know the sun does on these days. So here is what we're going to examine. And we do know, I already covered, the sun rises due east on the equator. So at 20 degrees east longitude on the equator, the sun rises due east. Well, let's check it out here in the middle of Europe here on the 20 degrees east longitude. It also rises due east. Now you see there's a problem. We've got two suns, but in reality, there's just the one. Well, let's keep going. Well, turns out that everywhere on the line of longitude, 20 degrees east, the sun is rising due east for them, and it rises at almost identically the same time. Oh dear. How many suns can there be? Well, in reality, we know there's just the one, and any claims of holograms or projections or anything like that must be backed with evidence, and we know you don't have any evidence of that. Just making the claim doesn't satisfy the evidence. So what could it possibly look like to satisfy the necessary observations that are easy to confirm on the day of the equinox? Well, there's a problem. Well, let's look ahead
lack of horizon.
We know that in Sweden and in Norway, that the sun rises due east. And so this is from dateandtime.com or one of the online things. Now you'll see that it angles up a tiny bit. The reason why is because this is showing the direction of the top edge of the sun, not the geometric center of the sun. That's all that was the option for this website. So if you actually look at the geometric center of the sun, so when the geometric center of the sun is visible, it is not slightly north of due east, it's right at due east. And then same thing for South Africa. Same thing, due east when the geometric center of the sun is first visible. So we've got this little bit of a problem, and here's the solution. This is the only possible shape that the 20 degrees line of east, line of longitude, can possibly look to satisfy this one simple observation on the day of the equinox. You don't get a choice on this, flat earthers. This is observational reality. This is an absolute necessity. This is what your, well, it's not a pizza land, is it? It's only half. It's kind of a C for cookie, isn't it? This is what it must look like. So it's not a pizza land, flat earthers. It's this. It's the letter C, at least for that line of longitude, at the moment of sunrise. Now, what will it look like at the moment of sunset on that very same line of longitude?
The opposite.
Well, it must look like that, because the sun sets due west for all of those points along the line of longitude simultaneously.
Yep.
Again, you do not get a choice on this. This is, you see there, this is not the 20 degrees east, but it is some number of degrees east longitude, and we can see the terminator line between dark and light. And you can see very clearly that the sun's rays will be coming on the globe nearly parallel, almost parallel, very close to parallel. If you want to do the math on it, unless you need that precision, you can treat them as parallel. And that's how the sunrise would look, because everybody along that vertical line there would experience sunrise at the same time. And they would all see it due east at the same time for sunrise and due west for sunset. That's how it works on the globe. But for flat Earth, this is what you must have. You don't have a choice, because you don't have a plausible explanation for how sunlight might travel in any other way. You don't get to say it's a hologram without evidence of it being a hologram.
Actually, I just realised, is he slightly wrong? Where's that image? That image.
Hi everyone, Test, can you hear me?
Ooh, yep, we can.
No.
Oh, well, I can, nobody else can.
Other way, you don't.
I just can't hear myself for some reason. I used to be able to, but I can't. It's weird.
You've got no monitor.
That's the one I was looking for. We can hear you clearly. It's good to hear you.
Hey, how are you?
Not too bad. You missed out on Paul's test. You can't get your physics certificate.
Oh well, I was out viewing a potential place to live.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
It's not going to work out, unfortunately. It's sad. It was ideal in every other way, apart from not enough rooms.
Oh,
we're hoping
that's the one thing you need.
Yeah, well, we're hoping that it had a spare reception room, and it looked big enough that you might be able to get a bed in there, maybe a desk and maybe a wardrobe. But no, it's way too small. It's just not practical. So not gonna work. Sadly, ideal in every way. Very close to the kids' schools, very close to some shops, a pharmacy, and a few other things. But yeah, just not enough space.
No. Oh well.
Oh well, indeed.
I was just watching this one. I was just saying, technically, unless of course you're referring to noon, which he may have said this was at noon, that piece of land should actually be on the line of shadow, the one that he's saying, to see what it would look like in the sunrise. Sunsets, yeah.
Yeah, but the line of sunset would be curved in the direction that he says it would have to be curved.
Yeah.
In order for the sun to be in one position along it.
Yeah. But if this is just
also, of course,
not exact.
What is stopping the sunlight?
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
So this is what it would look like.
Oh,
at
it got
noon.
tired.
Yeah, was all. Got tired.
Yeah, it was like flat. Yeah, it's like flat earthers just think that somehow the light just stops at a given point.
It gets tired.
It gets tired and goes to bed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It goes away.
Yes. Or someone, I think it was last week we saw the guy who's basically was, yes, it was all perspective, and I was like, no, it doesn't work.
No.
I think I've seen enough of that tune. I don't think there's anything in there that from then on that none of us don't understand. I think we all covered that. That's a shame. So, did you have any April Fool's Day happen to you yet, or haven't you? You've got April Fool's Day now, haven't you, Matt?
Yeah, no, nothing yet. Nothing so far.
Oh,
I'm actually deliberately avoiding the news because I've fallen for a few spoof news things before, so I might avoid it on the 1st of April.
So you're not a...
because I don't want to appear gullible.
So you're not a fanatic like Farmers is. Farmers is a real fanatic for April Fool's Day.
What do you mean?
Oh yeah, I really love April Fool's Day. and all the jolly japes that people love to play on it. God, you have no idea. It's just I can't put it into words how much I love it.
The hilarity of the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah,
I'm kind of on board with what you were saying, to be honest with you.
It's bloody gobshite. We should stop doing it. As a so-called intelligent race, we should be above such crap. But there you go.
Got to have a bit of foolishness every now and then. What are we up to?
There's a ship. I mean, us Brits would know. I think both Farmers and Alan would know about this. There's a ship called HMS Victory in Portsmouth.
Oh yes.
It's a very old ship. Was involved in the Battle of Waterloo and all that kind of stuff. Trafalgar. Sorry. Yeah, Trafalgar, not Waterloo. Sorry.
We dragged this battleship into Belgium.
Sorry. Battle of Trafalgar.
Battle of Trafalgar.
And 10 years difference as well, of course.
Yes, but it was famous for being Nelson's flagship.
Yeah, that's right. And
Trafalgar.
And it sits in Portsmouth in a dry dock, basically set in concrete.
Pretty much.
Unbeknownst to me and many other people, going back many years ago, there was a thing on the local news that said that they were talking about refloating her. Okay, and unbeknownst to me, to be fair, in my defence, me and many others didn't know that it was set in concrete, and fell for the spoof news article.
I don't think she is set in concrete. She is actually just sitting in a dry dock. If they were to replace almost the entire hull with new wood, she would float again. But then how original would she? Yeah, and of course,
exactly.
She's not that original now anyway, because they've replaced an awful lot of her.
Yeah,
since she was first launched in 1765, I think it was.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it on a Tuesday, Alan? You got?
I have no idea, but she is of course still the flagship of the First Order of the Admiralty.
She's still officially a commissioned Royal Navy ship. Yeah.
Yes. Launched on the 7th of May 1765. She's an active flagship of the First Sea Lord.
And hence the reason why, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, right? It's a tourist attraction, but when you go on it, you're not allowed to take photographs because it's still officially a commissioned ship, which I think is a bit ridiculous, right? Because what you're going to do, sell naval secrets to the Russians from a ship that was built 300 years ago. You know?
Yes, it is in a dry dock. Yeah, but it's a bit like the dagger that killed Caesar. It's all completely original. So the handle's been replaced 5 times and the blade 7.
Yeah,
a lot of it is original, but and some of it isn't timber anymore. Some of it is fiberglass.
Well, when I say it was set in concrete, I wasn't 100% sure about that, but I know, I'm going from memory, it's affixed somehow quite solidly to the dry dock in some capacity or another, which cannot be easily moved.
There's an awful lot of like scaffolding holding her in place.
Right.
The one of the problems they've got at the moment, and this has been going on for the last few years, the actual hull of the ship is decaying and sagging at the rate of about half a centimetre a year. So they're having to do an awful lot of work trying to, prop it up basically. Because obviously it was designed as a ship to sit in water, and it's been sat out of water for so long that the timbers are starting to rot and they can't hold their own weight. So the whole thing's been sagging, and they're desperately and there's a major restoration project underway, because when they and I have actually been in the workshop where they work on replacement timbers, and they still use the traditional tools. They still make the replacement parts the same way they did 250 odd years ago.
What was that one about Starship you had up just then, Timbo?
That might get you going. There are a couple of things I had up for last week, but you weren't here, so I didn't play them. So I was just bringing them back up.
Oh,
have you been down to Victory at all, Matt?
Oh yeah.
It's quite something, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's very good.
In fact, touring what ships you can in Portsmouth is, because what's that other one? Is it Britannia that's there?
Something like that. Yeah.
Britannia. Yeah, it is quite a place. But yeah, Victory is, especially when you get down to what was the medical deck. And the floor and halfway up the walls is all painted red.
Red.
So you didn't see the blood. Yeah.
I'm sure they did though.
Well, if you didn't see it, you tripped over it. But it was to cut down on the impact of seeing all the blood from the surgeon's work. Ugh.
Yeah. Butchery.
Yeah.
Legs and arms being sawn off and everything.
That's it.
With no anaesthetic.
Yeah. That's a magic socket.
What's he trying to do? Oh,
it's a magic socket. So if you watch it's about to start again. So he takes the ordinary socket, right? So this is from the beginning. Whoops, start again.
Oh, it's little levers.
So it takes the ordinary socket, right?
Yeah.
No, so that's an ordinary socket, which will work on an ordinary bolt.
Yeah.
Right. But obviously it's not going to work on the one that's completely threaded.
Well, no.
Right. So then you take the one they're trying to sell.
The magic one.
Magic one. And it's not got a spring, it's just... Let me get back so you can see inside it. Yeah, so it's got slightly different shape.
Grooves, yeah.
But that will actually catch on both the ordinary one and the threaded one. Hey, magic. There you go. So you asked me about the other shorts I had up here. This was supposedly...
Why are they showing Dragon when they're talking about SpaceX Starship?
It was the insane reason why SpaceX
Starship.
Well, I thought you might like to point out what was wrong with this one. It's only a minute. Let's put it on.
I think he just says.
Did you know that Elon Musk made the SpaceX Starship's nose cone more pointy because of the movie The Dictator? Yeah, this is one of those stories that sounds completely made up, but it's totally real. So the Starship didn't always look like a flying aluminum can with fins. In the beginning, it looked more like this, something a little closer to what the rocket looked like from WALL-E. But why did that change? Well, like I said, it's because Elon watched the movie The Dictator. In a candid interview about this, he said this.
You literally told them to make the Starship more pointy because of the movie The Dictator.
Yep, and they know it too. It's not like they aren't unaware of it. Everyone thought it would be funny if we made the rocket more pointy, so we did.
It is too round on the top. It needs to be pointy.
So I wasn't joking. He literally changed the entire design of the Starship, a space vehicle that's promised to take us to the moon, Mars, and eventually beyond, and is designed after a joke in a movie. And when he was asked if the shape at least helped the aerodynamics for Starship, his response was, it's arguably slightly worse.
Yeah,
the thing about Elon Musk is he does things that sound ridiculous, but sometimes there is a reason for it. But the difference in terms of aerodynamics was so slight. That's why the engineers said, okay, whatever. It didn't really make that much of a difference. That's why he was saying it. Yeah, if anything, it made it slightly worse. Literally, it's really slightly worse, but hardly anything in it. but not enough to really have an effect. But there's not going to be one iteration. There's going to be a few different iterations of it anyway.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe the other ones would be slightly
I
rounded
personally
rather than
don't think,
pointy.
I personally don't think he gets much say.
Not always, no. I mean, everybody thinks that kind of Elon Musk goes along to the engineers and says we're going to do this, and the engineers go, okay. No, it doesn't work like that. And he is an engineer anyway.
Yeah.
So he's not stupid. He's not going to do something that's just going to be. He's going to say, well, the engineers say no, we can't do that. Do it anyway. He's not that stupid.
He's not that stupid.
No,
yes,
not that stupid. He does daft things sometimes and says daft things, but when it comes to making rockets, he kind of knows what he's doing.
Well, I think
he has people that know what they're doing.
Yeah, he's got more people that know a little bit more than him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's key of being a leader, isn't it? You find people that actually know about things than you do.
I don't know how to do this, but I can pay people that do.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. I believe physics teachers descend into flat Earth madness, apparently. So.
Okay.
Can anyone vouch for that out there?
A physics teacher.
How do you think Conspiracy Cats got started?
Are you saying Conspiracy Cats is mad?
I saw this one, Timbo. It's about a physics teacher who actually becomes a flat earther.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he's got to be faking it, man.
Does he sustain some horrendous brain injury or something?
Well, he must have been a shit physics teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, must have been.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. There are bad science teachers out there because my daughter had one.
Yeah, well, my physics teacher just wrote a whole. The one our classes it was him writing up on the board and us copying it down. That was literally 90% of our physics all the way through.
Yeah, that's not teaching. Yeah.
That's crap.
Yeah.
We had a tutor at college try and do that, and his argument was, "I'm not here to teach you. I'm just here to tell you."
Yeah.
He lasted a month with us.
Yeah.
And we got him. We got him changed for somebody who's actually willing to teach us.
Yeah. His only grace was he actually did know the physics. He just was a crap teacher. He didn't like kids, which was not good for a teacher for a start. So the only ones he ever talked to were the
my daughter
the
in
real
her
geeks.
first her first year of a senior high, they had a chemistry teacher who's no longer there, and literally my daughter had to knew that some of the stuff was wrong, so she had to literally go home and Google it and teach herself. This teacher was so bad. But yeah, that teacher's no longer there. I think it was a fill-in teacher, if I remember rightly. Yeah, not there anymore, thank God.
The worst teacher I had was studying on a maths class. No, actually, maths, music theory, can't remember, same thing. And I remember I'd finished the test really early, and he marked it so early that he'd marked it while everyone else was still doing the test. And so I went through his thing, and he gave me, I think it was 90 out of 100, which I thought, okay, that's okay. But then when I looked through to find where was the 2, as you do, it was, wasn't there, and I couldn't find it. And then I found this other error, and I took up and went up to him and said, "Where's the 2%?" He says, "You can't get 100%." And I was like, it wasn't like it was subjective tests. They were either right or wrong answers. And he just had this opinion.
You got 100%.
He just couldn't accept. You
I had
can't
the
get
same
100%.
experience with an English teacher, Timbo.
Yeah.
I did an assignment and I wondered where the 1% was missing. So I went up to him and asked it, and he said, "God doesn't even get 100%. So I went to the principal.
Yeah.
Quite ridiculous.
This teacher this was at the Catholic high school, and he was a brother, and he was a real jerk of a brother. I just had this real attitude of, that the kids couldn't be better or no more than he was. He was running our cycle. I was into cycling bikes, and he ran a cycle club. And so on the first week of the cycle club, I was really, really crook. And we went out for this big long ride, and so I wasn't so great. So I was at the back of the pack and wasn't so wasn't running really fast or anything. Okay, so next week comes around and we go to the velodrome, and I'm a lot back in proper shape. Now, to put it in context, I lived out of town on the farm, and I used to ride in and out of town every day. So it was 12 Ks in and out. So I was pretty fit back in those days on the bike. And so we're on the velodrome, and he says he's teaching us all about how different velodrome types of races. I mean, he says, let's do pursuit. Basically, what happens in pursuit is you go slow at the beginning, and then you get to a point where from there on, you've got to sprint around to the end. And he did it. He got a couple of guys to go, and he said, he's going to have a go. And he picked me out of the crowd, and everyone thought that was a bit funny. And he said, because obviously he thought I wasn't as good as the other guys. So I get on the bike, and we do the pursuit. We get to the halfway around, and then I just take off and flog him. Get to the end, everyone said, "Oh, great, you beaten him," because obviously no one really liked him. He comes riding around, and he was a good half a quarter of a lap behind. Comes to the end and says, "We're doing 2 laps," and keeps going. So I jump back on the bike and I'd catch him up because he sprinted off, saying we're now doing 2 laps when we were only doing 1, and I had to chase him down and still got up to him, but he was not happy. I don't think he liked me after that. He was just that sort of arrogant guy, Yeah. Not what I would call a great teacher. Well, let's see what this teacher's got to say. Played full speed, Paul. We'll speed it up.
Speed it up.
Speed it up. Okay, let's do that.
I was looking through YouTube this morning for a flat earther to mock, and as you do, I ended up on the Taboo Conspiracy channel, where I came across Douglas.
Hello there, my name is Douglas, and I no longer believe that we live on a globe.
How can you not like Douglas? Look at him. He looks like the kind of guy any young lady or man would be happy to introduce to their parents, until of course he mentions the fact that he's a flat earther. But as I said earlier, this video has come from the Taboo Conspiracy channel, and it would seem that my mate Kermit is giving new flat earthers a platform, and people like Douglas are lapping it up. Please subscribe.
Up until the year of 2019, I was what you might call asleep to conspiracy theories and real truths. I had no reason to question established narratives, at least not in my mind at that point. I did have some history of independent thinking, but I never took it any farther than certain scientific fallacies or some independent thinking in my schools or workplace.
Up until 2019, you were just a total sheep, blindly following established narratives without questioning them. How utterly fascinating. I'm sure your history of independent thinking was off the charts.
Then 2020 happened, and an alleged virus.
And there it is. Well, the first thing anyway. There was no allegation about it, Douglas. I had it, my wife had it. In fact, pretty much everyone in my family had it. And maybe you want to speak to the families of the almost 7 million people who died as a direct result of the lager lurgy and ask them if it was alleged or not.
Supposedly spread around the world. And the response to this was so dramatically wrong, immoral, catastrophic, debilitating to many people and industries, that it could no longer simply be put down to just the standard level of corruption or incompetence that you would expect from politicians and media and industry leaders.
Right, okay, you lot stay with me here. Was the lager lurgy mismanaged? Maybe. Does that make it some sort of psyop? No. It just means that most politicians couldn't find their ass in the dark with a map on both hands. But it certainly doesn't make it an alleged situation by any stretch of the imagination.
It was so vile and evil that it had to be deliberate. It could only be deliberate.
Really? And to what end? What was the advantage to the British government in particular? Because that's the government that Dougie and I fall under. The same government that was giving out millions of pounds in grant aid to help people who were struggling for one reason or another during the lager lurgy outbreak. Now, usually when something is done on purpose, there's a goal and a win for the person who kicked the whole thing off. So what was the win?
So I had to accept and come to terms with and grieve the fact that systems that I had previously believed in or gave time to did not in fact have my best interests at heart.
Well, okay, let's explore that then, shall we? And move on to your citations, of which I'm sure there are many. What with you being a teacher? No, you didn't mishear me. This next part was taken from the description under the video I'm talking about, the one I found on the Taboo Conspiracy channel. Douglas works in education and has been working as a maths tutor for years. Douglas used to teach physics, but can't stomach the lies anymore. He grew up with the Bible and was a keen and active member of his congregation, but had to leave because of the church's response to the phony 2020... What? Douglas still loves the the Bible, but is coming to terms with the idea that the absolute truth will not be possible to find until after his life.
This led me to question other aspects of reality, other truths that I would have otherwise laughed off or brushed aside or angrily refused to accept, like so many people do now.
Well, Dougie, it looks like you're now a regular bona fide truth seeker, questioning everything from reality to the existence of Unical. Who knew that all it would take was a little pandemic to get you on the path to enlightenment? But at least you're not one of those people angrily refusing to accept anything that doesn't fit their preconceived notions. Oh, wait.
I ran out of conspiracy theories after some months, through the years 2020 and 21.
Ran out? How? There are loads of them to choose from, and I promise you it's nothing more than a coincidence that this teacher found himself down a conspiracy rabbit hole right at the height of the Lagerlurgy lockdown. Lagerlurgy lockdown. I mean, it's not as if we were all stuck at home with nothing better to do than watch videos on the internet, was it? And I mean, how could the two things possibly be connected?
But two key ones in my development were the 9/11 event and the alleged moon landings.
This is like conspiracy bingo, and my new mate Dougie is on target for Full House. Can't any of these morons see that it's no coincidence that if they buy into one conspiracy, then all the other conspiracies suddenly become a lot more believable? It's because everything you believe is a lie. A web of lies, if you will. You started your video by saying that you no longer believe that you live on a globe. So of course you're going to have doubts about the moon landings. You have to, as a flat earther. Because as I am sure you and every other flat earther knows, there were pictures of Earth taken from the surface of the moon. So denying that we landed on the moon is kind of a prerequisite for being a flat earther. I wonder how long it'll take you before you start screaming that space is fake.
Now, the 9/11 event, I was only 7 years old when it happened, so I had no reason, or perhaps not even an ability to question what happened. But looking into it now with fresh eyes, I could see the same lessons from the alleged virus. Governments, corporations, media will do whatever they can to further a narrative that doesn't benefit you and has ulterior motives.
Like the mass of millions of people? Yeah, sure they do, Doug. You keep telling yourself that. I wonder how many of the parents of the children you teach will agree with you when they see your debut on YouTube.
Similar lessons were learned from the moon landing, where the worldwide population was all lied to.
Now, were we also lied to about the fact that they left a mirror on the moon and that anybody with a powerful enough laser can point that laser at that reflector on the moon if they want to? Look, here it is. A laser being reflected back from the reflector we left on the moon. Moon?
However, there was other questions that came up. One was, key one for me, was if we've not been to the moon when they said that we did between 1969 and 72, and we haven't been in the 50-odd years since, even though multiple presidents of the United States said that we were going to go back. We've not been back.
Now, far be it from me to tell another man that they're wrong, especially an educator who works in the fields of maths and physics. But Douglas, you're wrong. Or at least I think you are, because to be perfectly honest, I'm not entirely sure that last statement was even a question. But in the spirit of fair play, I will assume that your question is, why haven't we been back? Well, Apollo 17 became the last crewed mission to the moon for an indefinite amount of time. The main reason for this was money. The cost of getting to the moon was astronomical. And if you're anything like the flat earthers whose buttholes your nose has been firmly planted in, then you're probably going to say, but NASA, they've got a budget of $200 billion, million, trillion, squidillion dollars a day. Why can't they afford it? Think of it like this. If the US annual budget was $1, which is 100 pennies in case any flat earthers get confused, NASA gets half of one of those pennies. Well, would you look at that? Anders Carlson gets the whole green screen to himself. And by the way, huge shout out to Cartoon Fan for purchasing this green screen off my Amazon wish list, which is linked below.
So maybe it's not just that we faked it at the time, but we literally cannot go, for reasons that I didn't understand at the time.
What the hell do you mean at the time? You said you were 7 years old when the 9/11 disaster happened, so you were still swimming around your dad's ball bag in 1969, which makes you 29? Anyway, come on then, I bet you're dying to tell us your reasons. Flat earthers love a good reason, don't they? Which is funny because their reasons are never any good. But I suppose there's still reason. It doesn't matter.
And so with great reluctance, great fear, great trepidation, I did allow myself to look into the flat earth theory. It was the last conspiracy, at least I was aware of at the time.
It is unusual, because usually flat earth is the gateway to the rabbit hole. Come on then, let's hear these reasons, Douglas. I'm sure they will be logical and backed up with bags of evidence, what with you being an educated man and all. What's wrong, Doug? Worried somebody's going to walk in on you spouting this absolute garbage? Don't worry, pal. You could just say you were only joking, like I suspect most flat earthers are, especially the likes of Nathan Oakley, who is documented as saying he couldn't care less if the earth was shaped like a knob, as long as the idiots who follow him keep on super chatting.
It was a difficult process, a painful one, because you cannot argue with logical reasoning, factual evidence, presented in a calm, deliberate manner. There is no response to that.
Damn, I completely agree. Hang on a second. Have I misunderstood this entire video? I thought you were a flat earther. So I can only assume that when you refer to logical reasoning, factual evidence presented in a calm, deliberate way, then you can't possibly be talking about evidence for a flat earth, because there isn't any. And to be fair to the special people, or flat earthers as they are more commonly known, it's not from lack of trying. Just ask Bob Knobcheese how sound an investment that $20,000 ring laser gyroscope was, and how pleased he must have been when it showed a 15-degree-per-hour drift, as we would expect in reality.
A 15-degree-per-hour drift.
Or you could check in with Jism and ask him about his experiment to prove a flat earth that once again did nothing more than confirm what we already know to be the case.
Interesting.
These flat earthers are so helpful. And in case you haven't seen it, he confirmed that the earth is a globe.
Particularly if it rings true. And so the key things that changed my mind were the laser tests and camera tests showing that there is no Earth curvature, at least not the alleged one of the 8 inches per mile squared.
8 inches per mile square is the equation for a parabola, and as a maths teacher you should really know that. And you should also know that a parabola is not a circle or a sphere. Flat earthers like to use it because they think it supports their I see more of this thing across the lake than I should be able to, thus proving the Earth is flat argument. But like most other things flat earthers think prove a flat Earth, they're just good old-fashioned wrong. Much like Douglas, the educator of children.
Videos like Taboo Conspiracy and Eric Dubay were good for that.
Well, hang on a second, what did I miss? Taboo Conspiracy and Eric Douche Nozzle's videos are good for what? Measuring Earth's curvature? Well, I suppose you could say that if you take into account that every piece of evidence they think they have, which demonstrates a flat Earth, actually does the complete opposite. Now, apart from the fact that he sounds like Kermit the Frog, I don't actually know that much about Taboo Conspiracy. But Eric Dubay, on the other hand, well, he's nothing more than a money-motivated grifter. He's got no real interest in the truth if it gets in the way of making him a few dollars.
And then, once I got comfortable with that, some of the other physical questions started to come into my head. If the Earth supposedly spins at how many thousand miles per hour, why don't we feel it?
Right, well, first of all, Earth rotates. It doesn't spin. But even if I was to concede that point and say, yeah, okay, it spins, the Earth spins once every 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4.09053 seconds. It's called the sidereal period, and its circumference is roughly 40,075 kilometers. Thus, the surface of the Earth at the equator moves at a speed of 460 meters per second, or roughly 1,000 miles per hour, and we are moving with it. You gullible fool. I tell you what, if this is an example of the quality of teacher in the UK today, I'm glad my kids have all left school.
If the universe was created by a Big Bang, thus causing the universe to constantly expand, then how can the universe simultaneously be like clockwork, where everything is orbiting each other and has a very close relationship together?
The Big Bang Theory explains the origins of the universe as a rapid expansion that began roughly 13.8 billion years ago. And while the universe continues to expand, this doesn't mean that all of its components are moving away from each other, randomly or chaotically. Gravity plays a crucial role in how celestial bodies interact with each other, causing them to orbit around each other and form stable relationships, such as those we see in our solar system. The universe may be expanding overall, but there are still gravitational forces holding galaxies and clusters of galaxies together. And this is what allows the universe to maintain a relatively stable and clockwork-like structure despite its expansion. Okay, so I guess we can add creationist to the list of things that Dougie is.
This was a very, very difficult pill to swallow, and for several weeks and months, I could recognise its truth, but I wasn't ready to accept it or to stand by it. Now, however, I feel I have no choice.
But you do have a choice. It's just a shame that an obviously educated man made the wrong one.
There is no curvature on the Earth. There is no evidence of it spinning. The moon and the sun are in fact local to us. The moon shines cold light. That is a provable fact, much like the lack of curvature.
Oh, yeah, is there any point in explaining this? I can't see it.
He was a
is what
physics
he
teacher.
And that last statement is supposed to show that all Douglas's researchers involved is watching Eric Dubay and Taboo Conspiracy videos.
Was
someone
in
who has
the
studied
operative
physics, I
word,
imagine
yeah.
he will actually conduct his own experiments. And then very quickly realise just how much of an idiot he's been. Douglas has allowed the downtime that we all had to endure during the Lager Lurgy outbreak to impair his judgment.
And despite the pain and the difficulties and the loss of friends who were unwilling to see certain truths that I was able to see, it has been a freeing and liberating process. Living lives of lies is a punishment. It is a detriment to people who are able to freely think and freely live, and rejecting those lies, embracing truth no matter how scary it might be or where it leads, is absolutely the way to go. And I hope that we can inspire that change in other generations or other people to look for truth, seek it, and spread it.
Well said, Dougie. And to be honest, that's why I do what I do on YouTube. Flat earthers are the most willing to lie, and not only to themselves, but to the people around them. There isn't so much as a grain of truth to anything they say. We know it. 99% of the people who watch their content and my content know it. And I suspect they know it as well. But while there are still people lining their pockets, we are never getting rid of them. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks to everyone who super thanked on the last video. Love you, bye.
Alright, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe. By order of the Creaky Blinder.
I would think, knowing what I do of the British education system, that guy did a BA course in education and has not much more physics education than you would get from doing the A level.
Yeah.
I.e. high school level physics himself.
Yeah, you articulated it better than I could. I was just going to say I just don't think he was ever a teacher at all, or even had any qualifications in physics whatsoever. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too.
Yeah.
Well, if he did, he's because there's simple things there that just a physics person's not going to say. Yeah.
I mean, if he actually physically was in the classroom teaching kids physics, how did he get away with that? How? It just baffles my mind.
Because you don't need to have, because for teaching in the UK, an awful lot of teachers will go to university and they will do a Bachelor of Arts degree in education. and they, so they won't do subject level stuff much deeper than the level they have to teach it to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, which is ridiculous, really.
Yeah. No, there's a few things there that you just from anyone who had any concept like why don't we feel the spin of the earth? It's sort of like, well, anyone who'd done any physics would say, well, why don't I just sort of test it, see what the difference in the forces are, But
yeah, you can't just explain it away just because we don't because we don't feel it. I mean, that's not physics teacher speaking at all.
No,
it makes no sense. Like exactly what you said. Okay, well, let's do an experiment to test it. Let's do something, But he's just waved it off with his hand. Oh, we don't feel it. End of.
Yeah, no. It to me sounds like someone who's either become or has been influenced under Christian things and has gone down the line. Oh, I've got to believe in this Bible stuff, but it's going against. And like a lot of physics teachers who say, well, this is the reality, I'll have to rationalise the Christianity. He's gone the other way around and said, okay, I'll have to believe in the Christianity and I'll rationalise the reality. So, yeah, that's how I think that's gone. Yes, poor guy. Well, it's past midnight here. It's no longer April Fool's Day. So I might quietly end the stream. Thanks, Peanuts out there.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming around. Quite a few of you joined in.
Come on, at least scroll down enough so that we can see what the object is.
Sorry?
Oh,
hang on a second. This first so they can see out there. Okay, so what did you want to see?
Because that.
What is it?
You put it up. Yeah, exactly.
Well, what is it?
It says it's
Any
sold,
idea?
so.
You want to know?
No.
Okay. Let's hit the comments. We'll see.
Yeah, wow. 3/4 inch.
I reckon it's a powder or a shaker. So, pop puree container. Was it?
Smellies.
Smellies, but it looks.
No.
Hang on a sec. This one, I reckoned it was one of these. Hang on a sec.
As long as it's not a
There you go.
it's fine.
A mothball container, but a pretty one.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, along those lines, smellies.
Yeah.
Well, at least that seems to be
Speed limit
just looking.
25.
So this one was. So they said thanks, solved. So they solved it on this one, the mothballs and the smellies, basically. There you go. Brass horse. I reckon it's a brass horse. I think that's a but I reckon
Brass
that'd be
horse. This is made
for
of
holding
brass.
yeah, I reckon that'd be for holding the reins on a horse. Let's see what the.
Well,
see if they come up with the same answer. It has a better name than what I just called it. Swiss made draft or harness collar. So this one. Oh, see that bit on the top of the yoke of the.
Of the bride of the not the bridle. I don't know what you call those.
Yeah,
Collar.
for the harness
Collar,
going through.
that's it.
Yeah, the collar and the harnesses go through them. Yes. Anyway, so that's. There you go. Very quickly. I don't think there's much in Reddit on Flat Earth. I'll have a very quick look, but it will be. It's been a bit very quiet over on Globe skepticism, just the usual rubbish. Yeah, that's normal. That one's been on before. I don't know that one, but yeah, that one's been on before. Yeah, usual rubbish. As I said, we're coming to a close. Switch that over there. Get rid of this so we don't.
I just got here.
You just got here, I know.
I just got here.
But it's as I said. Did you watch my special announcement?
No, didn't see that. I'm sorry. What was the special announcement?
Should I make him go watch my special announcement?
Are you finding you're going to go through your sex change or?
Yeah. It's on the video. Yeah, it's in my videos. I'm set to play with it.
Okay, I'll have a look at it later.
Yeah. Make sure you do. So, as we said, we're saying goodbye. I was putting up the end. Where's my end? Let's transition. Put up the end. I think they can hear that. Can't hear that in here, but I think they can hear that out there. And people were saying goodbye. And before I got distracted, I'm just running through. So we have the usual crowd. So thanks Larry and Ball and George and Spooky, Judy, Fred Fondle, obviously Alan, Blue, Paul, and this Matt. Matt, just say thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
Armageddon, Dave, and I think I already said that, Dora. I think that's about it. So, anyone I've missed, still appreciate you coming. Everybody's at the home. And we'll see you on Wednesday. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.